All right, a very good morning, ladies and gentlemen, from the flight deck. Welcome to another stream with Captain Nabs here. And sorry that it's a little bit late getting started here. I do appreciate you guys do want to see it. I'm just still feeling a little bit awkward about streaming Microsoft Flight Simulator. That's all. I'm getting there, but there's a few things that have changed, obviously, from the previous implementation of the sim, and I'm still having a couple of things that I'm trying to figure out, and one thing I don't know why I still have traffic when I turn it all off back there behind me there, and you can look around the airport a little bit. There's a few airplanes flying around that shouldn't be, and I don't know how to turn off the AI traffic. I thought I did, but it's still there, so I just threw up my hands and just said, well, we'll just deal with it anyways. Right now there's no VATSIM ATC, so we'll just have to deal with the airplanes that we see out there. Good morning, Lucas. I saw your messages in the Discord, so thank you so much for sort of setting things up and getting it rolling this morning. Unfortunately, just the way life is, I've been very busy this last week, and I have not had much time to sort of monitor my Discord or anything else. And I really want to get this stream in there because I think it's going to be fun. But it was sort of there's a lot of stuff going on in my life, so I know you talked about this in the Discord, and you would wanted to try and do the whole turn, just because of the length of time involved with it. It's not like it's a large length of time, but especially just given the week that I've had, it's been quite a busy week, unexpectedly busy. Well, not really unexpectedly busy, but nevertheless, busier than I would have hoped for. I'm sort of struggling to get kind of caught up on the whole thing here, so yeah, so I won't say we definitely won't do the return leg, but I think we're not going to, just because of the length of time required. And don't worry about hijacking the Discord. I'm glad that somebody's talking in it, because I don't have enough time to do it, especially this week. It's been a busy week. Give me 1 second. I just got to do something I just remembered. Okay, sorry about that, guys. Welcome back to the stream. First of all, welcome to A Pilot's Life again. This is Season 6, I believe, now, so this is the sixth monthly schedule that I have generated. Yeah, I turned off AI traffic, and I don't know why it's still there. I went into the settings, and I said, airport traffic off, and it's still there, so I don't know what's going on. Anyways. So welcome to the 6th season of A Pilot's Life. As you can see, we have moved on from Canadian carriers, which we have done exclusively Canadian carriers until now, and we're moving into a new aircraft, and that, of course, is the beautiful Aerosoft CRJ that you guys can see right in front of you here. It's a beautiful airplane. There you go, get a little bit more centered in there. I've flown it quite a few times. It's a fun airplane. It's a lot of work to fly, but I really enjoy it, and I encourage anybody that's thinking about it. I think it's a worthwhile purchase. I think that Aerosoft has put together a pretty good airplane, and they're not done. They're still improving it. They're still putting out patches, and just this week, actually, the first major kind of update dropped, and it came out on, I believe, Thursday, so I installed it, and I tried it in the sim, and it seems to work. I didn't actually get a chance to do a flight just because of how busy I was, so here's hoping it works properly all the way. They've supposedly fixed a whole bunch of issues. I hope so. And it was a good airplane to begin with, but it did have a few quite nagging issues that were quite frustrating to deal with. Just to look at the changelog, it looks like a lot of those issues have been addressed in this new version, so that's good. Yeah, so we're going to take that, and we're going to do the first leg of our new career here, which is going to be pretty straightforward. From Chicago out to Sioux Falls. Sioux Falls, I believe that's in South Dakota? I do not know my American geography. Yes, it is South Dakota. I am not good with American geography. I'm not bad with it, but I definitely am not like an expert. So it's let's see here. It's a 400-mile flight. It's about an hour and 20 minutes in the air, I believe, is what's estimated on our flight plan. If I can find my flight plan here. Where is it here? En route time estimated at an hour 11, actually. So it's really not that long of a flight. So maybe we can get the turn done. I'm not going to make any promises. We'll see how time goes. Unfortunately, the reason why I only wanted to do one leg today too was just because it's a new season. It's a new it's a new aircraft, it's a new simulator, so lots of stuff to learn. I've been sort of, I haven't been using the sim for a long time, but I haven't really played with the camera controls too much, and as I've started to play with them the last week, I realized that they can be quite powerful, but I still am struggling with them from time to time, so bear with me if things are not exactly looking the way they should. I don't think chase plane is really necessary. Having spent some time with this, like, there's a lot of good things that this can do. It's not quite as unlimited as chase plane. There are a few inherent little limitations, but it's overall quite a powerful camera system, worlds over the defaults in the FSX and P3D world. So we've got that going for us today. So like I said, bear with me. I'm going to do my best to kind of get it all going organized on time, maybe not on time, but definitely try to keep the flight going anyways without causing any major issues. But bear with me because, like I said, still learning the new sim, and especially streaming, is different than just sort of flying in the sim where you can accept mistakes and things like that. When you're streaming, you try to put your best foot forward. So that's what we're going to do today. The other thing, of course, that we're going to do today, and this is something new that I sort of hinted at in my last stream, was that if you look down there in the corner of the stream, alright, I did finally invest in like a decent quality webcam, so I'm going to start using that to broadcast myself in the corner of the stream. I realize my chair is a little bit cut off over here on this side. It's just because of where I kind of oriented the camera, which actually when I face the screen is going to be right over here, so you're going to see a little bit of a side profile, but I kind of like it better. The other thing, of course, is that I'm trying to cut out the background, and if I had it at the other angle, I couldn't cut out the background very well. So I'm doing it at an angle where I can cut out the background. It kind of creates, like I said, some odd effects with the chair, because the chair is just sort of cut off right there. But I'm sure you guys can live with that. So the SID is incredibly simple, actually, in Chicago, and we'll go through it in the briefing. But the SID's really simple. It is fly runway heading and expect vectors to your first fix. The only thing is that there's a couple of restrictions. There's 2 altitude restrictions, so you have to reach, without looking at the SID, I've done it many times, but without looking at the SID, I believe you have to reach 3,000 feet within 5 miles and 4,000 feet within 8 miles of the airport. So just put in the DME if you can. Put in the nav aid, put in the DME. I think it's GCO is the VOR, and or you can put in a fix on your FMS to just sort of track it. And then the 5th thing is that you do not exceed 250 knots, even above 10,000 feet, until ATC advises you to do so. That's just due to the amount of traffic. They don't want people accelerating too quickly until they get permission. So you always maintain 250 ATC, 250 knots. After departure until advised by ATC. If there's no ATC online, then above 10,000 we can accelerate normally. But normally they kind of give it to you through about 11 or 12, but it just depends on the traffic load as well, so they're trying to space out the traffic going in all different directions. So it's really a very simple SID. You won't even find it in any FMS because it's just a straight up vector SID. It's just fly runway heading, expect vectors, or fly heading as assigned. Oftentimes they'll give you a turn right after departure. This tower will give you turns all the time after departure. So we'll hope for some ATC. I don't think you're going to see it, but I hope that the video is bright enough for you guys. I'm just going to quickly look at my other screen as well, just to see how kind of bright it looks. It's okay. It's a little bit shadowy, but I don't have an ultra streaming studio or anything like this, so bear with me if it's a little dim here. Should you increase the thrust out altitude for Airbus? I would normally say probably not. Getting to 3,000 feet within 5 miles is usually a pretty reasonable expectation. Unless you're a heavy aircraft, you're probably going to be okay. Only the heavy aircraft you usually have to worry about this. Again, no one's going to really punish you here on VATSIM if you don't make it. So you can kind of watch it and see how it goes. Again, pilots usually know their airplanes. If you think you're going to be really heavy, if you think you're going to have penalized climb performance, then do it. But most aircraft, they do the normal reduction altitude of 1,000 feet or 1,500 feet or whatever your company standard is, and usually it works out just fine. Keep an eye on it, but it's usually not much of an issue, especially, and the other thing too is that because most of the time there's a turn involved right after departure, you actually end up having more than just like 5 miles to make that altitude restriction, because of course you go out and then you kind of start coming back around in a different direction, and it actually ends up being more than 5 miles, for more than 5 track miles before you hit that ring. So I have found I've operated in this airport many times. I've never needed to really put any particular emphasis on reaching that altitude. You monitor for it, you make sure you reach those altitude restrictions, but I've never had to like delay retracting the flaps or the power reduction or anything like that for that altitude restriction. It's more I think it's more a concern if you're operating a heavy jet, and you might have a really kind of degraded climb performance if you're taking enough fuel to get to Hong Kong or Dubai or somewhere really far away. So. Anyways, yeah. So welcome to the stream. Welcome to my happy little self on video, because I'm just gonna have to get used to that. But I hope you guys enjoy that. I try to make it fairly small so it's not too obtrusive in the corner. And yeah, let's get this show on the road. And let's see if I can remember how to do this here, because I have had an issue just trying to figure out how to get back in the flight deck at this point. There we go. There we are in the flight deck, a little bit quieter. I do like the sound dynamics in the sim too. I find that they're really quite nice. The one thing I will need, of course, is my track IR, and of course that's going to make me look like a little bit more like a geek, but it's kind of a necessary thing, and it makes life so much easier when you're navigating the flight deck to have track IR. And I tend to do this a little bit, because I find that it's just the default cockpit position, I think, in this airplane is just a little bit too high, just a little bit. So anyways, you'll get used to seeing me wearing my little lucky red cap here. It's an older hat, but I just figured I'd repossess it for the permanent reason of just having this track IR sensor on my head, and it feels weird to see that on video. So please ignore the track IR sensor on the video, but that's how it works, and it's so effective as a tool. I couldn't imagine flying the flight simulator without it anymore. All right, so we're here in the flight deck. I think I've done a CRJ video or two before already, and I feel like I'm still just a little bit too high here. I'm just going to reset this center position one more time here. All right, so. And, of course, I need to adjust my track IR sensor because it's not picking me up very well where I am. Sort of just have to just get into a nice place where you feel like you're comfortable, and then that way you can look around the flight deck, because I can't even look around the flight deck. There we go. All right, so first of all, electrical power is all off on the flight deck. The hydraulic pumps are all off. The lights are currently all off. The landing gear lever's down. The speed brakes are stowed. Thrust levers are, of course, at cutoff. The flaps are up, and we make sure that we don't have the generator deployed. I can get rid of my armrest to help me out. We don't have the auxiliary generator deployed, the landing gear deployed, the alternate flap switch deployed. Nope, all looks good. And the nose wheel steering is also off. We can go ahead and get power on. And I did hop in the flight deck, and as you can see, the EFB is already on. I hooked up a few things like ground power. And that will bring the whole airplane to life here. And if in doubt, you can check on the electrical page to check that the GPU is putting out 6 kilovolt amps, 114 volts, and working at 401 hertz. Beyond that, just get some lights on once we hook up the power, obviously. Make sure our ELT is armed, and our seatbelt signs should be all off. Let's just turn the emergency lights other way on initially. That's something else I have to get used to in this sim, is the... why are the flaps and slats not at 0? Oh, they're not at 0. Ah. Will they move? They won't move because we don't have hydraulics. Oh. Are they electric in this airplane? Maybe they are electric. I thought they were hydraulic. They could be electric. I'm not totally familiar with this airplane, but no, they are electric, so they do move as soon as you power the airplane up. So that was my bad. It looked like they were in the 0 position, but I guess they were in the first position there. Yeah, so sorry, we were testing the emergency lights. So you should see a status message to say that the emergency lights are on, and you would also look down the hall and make sure all the lights are on. Nobody's flight attendants aren't complaining that one of the lights is burnt out or anything like that. Then you can put them to armed. And other thing you can do is get the IRSs to nav mode. That way they start aligning, and we are ready to go. South return or north return after departure. You know, that depends really on which direction you're going, and there's other factors, but generally you'll get a turn sort of after departure right on course. So I would expect actually, I don't even know what does our flight plan look at here, and I'm just looking at it. See, and the thing is, you'll find that I don't move my head as much because I don't want to make the track IR move, although I can do this, and that makes it a little bit easier to look at my flight plan over here. Yeah, with that departure fix, I would expect we're probably going to get a slightly northbound turn. With Mikey there being a little bit north of Chicago, I'd expect we get a little bit of a northbound turn initially after departure. So we can be prepared for that in case we do get any tower ATC online today here. Otherwise, we basically got the flight deck started up here. What we can also do is, of course, make sure we've got everybody connected here, and I'm going to call for a fuel truck. So I do have Pushback Express. It's a useful little tool here. Here's what it actually looks like, and it's just a semi-transparent window so you can see what's going on behind it. But it's just got a whole bunch of buttons to help control it. So you can control the jetway, you can open the aircraft doors. Doesn't work. I haven't actually tested with the CRJ, but the CRJ I just use the EFB here. You can call for stairs. You can call a fuel truck. So let's call a fuel truck. You can call for a baggage loader, and you can call for a catering truck. So you can do all sorts of things, and what's really important, of course, is that it allows for a really nicely controlled pushback, which we will do eventually. So here comes the catering truck. The door is already open for catering, and I believe we already opened this. So there's the catering door, and the funny thing is the baggage loading is all on the same side as the passenger door here, so it should bring that baggage train over, but it didn't for some reason. So let's just do it one more time and see if that baggage train that's parked over there, sorry, this is really sensitive here. Here he comes. So here comes the baggage loader, and then the baggage train should come. And the fuel truck is also going to drive over from somewhere on the airport. I know this jetway disappears. It's a little bit of a problem still with Microsoft Flight Simulator. Some of the jetways have a tendency to disappear when the center of the jetway is behind your camera, even though part of the jetway is still visible. If the center of the jetway is behind your camera, it tends to disappear. There's also some alignment issues with some of the ground vehicles and this airplane, and they eventually sort of pop themselves into place there. So we'll just try and ignore some of those shortcomings of Microsoft Flight Simulator. It's not a perfect sim by any means, but it's not bad. And I think if we look over here, Squibbly, you said you were going to be I forget what gate you said you were going to be at. That might be you in the turboprop there. Unfortunately, the model matching is also not great, and that's one of the things that is a little frustrating now, and especially doing group flights. It's going to be a little frustrating as you guys are not going to look very accurate. Even though I have the CRJ, the model matching internally is not well done, not well implemented yet. It should get better soon. And for those of you that are wondering, this is FSDreamTeam's Chicago O'Hare KORD. It's a fantastically beautiful scenery. It looks really good. It really kind of captures the flavor of the whole airport. Not enough airplanes out there. It's not busy enough. But it definitely captures the flavor of the whole airport. One thing I'll say, though, it does look a little bit cleaner than the real airport. The real airport is an old airport. Most of these terminal buildings, with the exception of the new international terminal there, are pretty old. They're 40 years old. They look their age. They're pretty weathered. There goes the baggage train in place. So it looks a little cleaner, I think, than the real world does. The ramps look very nice and dirty, but the buildings are a little bit fresher looking. So when you get really close to buildings in Chicago, you see they're all rusty and dirty, and they've been just there for a long time. But anyways, that's you. Yeah, modeling sport. Yeah, that is you. Okay, well, that's unfortunately that's all we can do. Okay, so we're going to hop into the flight deck here, and I'm going to try and find a nice view. One thing that I do like about Microsoft Flight Simulator is when you pause track IR, it doesn't flip back to your default view, but it pauses wherever you were at the moment you paused it there. So I like that. Active database 20th of May, 17 June 21. 20th of May to 17th of June of 21. Okay, yeah. That's the current database. I was like, for a second, I'm like looking at it, I'm like, what? 20th of May of 2017? How is it that far out of date already? The airplane's only been released for a month. Okay, so verify the date. Because Navigraph doesn't include the automatic updater, you have to make sure, of course, that it's updated properly. And we can define our departure airport if we want, just for the purposes of identifying our position, but it's easier to just go to the second page and just grab your position from the GPS. Once the airplane's been booted up for a minute or two, you should have a GPS position calculated pretty quickly. So there we go, we've got our position set. We can go into our flight plan page, and this is the meat and potatoes of it, of course. So today we're doing a fairly simple, straightforward flight plan. There is an ACARS system you can load it from. I'm not going to bother with it because I find it to be a little bit problematic. It doesn't always work the way it's supposed to. Sorry, I don't know why I'm thinking Milwaukee. We will eventually do a leg to Milwaukee. But there we are. KFSD, Sioux Falls, South Dakota. Our alternate is Omaha, so KOMA. And then, yeah, like I said, we have the option of loading the route from the ACARS. I even downloaded it, but I'm not going to bother with it. It's such a short route, and I find it's more trouble than it's worth most of the time. So today's flight number is SkyWest, and we are 368 Victor? 364 Victor. I don't know why there's a Victor on the end of it. It must have run as a special second section or something on that day. But anyways, there. Put that in there because also the nice thing is when you put that in there, whoop, it also puts it on the top of your status page here, which is really kind of nice. So if you're forgetting your flight number all the time, you can go look up there on your MFD. So remember to put in that flight number. All right, departures from Chicago O'Hare, and I know you put the winds in there. I'm not going to bother scrolling back. Winds out of the east. Oh yeah, no, I would definitely expect a northbound turn to get on course. So I'm gonna. Do we have 9 center in here? Hold on a second. Let's do this. Departure. We do have 9 center. I'm going to propose a departure off of 9 center. It's a little bit of a longer taxi, but it's the newest runway. They like using it when they can. So I'm going to go with 9 center. And then you'll see there are no SIDs because it's just a straight up vector SID. You don't program in the O'Hare 5, you just fly it. Alright, so then we go to our first fix, which is going to be Mikey, spelled with a Y. Alright, and then let's look at the rest of the flight plan, and it should be, I think it appears on the top of this stream, I can't remember, honestly. No, it doesn't anymore. That's okay. Mikey Moni Smid. Yeah, this is the route that you had also found there on SimBrief. The only difference is, of course, I picked the first one that also does have the FSD VOR. I'm not going to fly overhead the FSD VOR in almost any situation, but it just sort of sets up a nice track that follows an airway most likely. So, Mikey Moni Smid FSD, and that's it. And then arrival, we can select an arrival runway. So if you double tap the button, it gives you the option to select arrivals. I'm just going to have a look here at the flight plan. And the flight plan seems to indicate 1-5 for arrivals. So what do we have for 1-5? Do we have any approaches for 1-5? We have an RNAV 1-5. So we'll set that up. We don't have any stars, so we don't have to set those up. I don't even know what the various transitions are, so I'm just going to leave it on vector for now. And there we go. We've got that in there. I've got my MFD data up there. I could turn that off somehow. I forget how. Yeah, there it is. It's gone now. Okay. Still kind of learning this airplane. There's a lot of stuff going on in this airplane. All right, so we finished with the flight plan. So we can go to the performance page, and what we can do is we can put in a flex temp. At this point, there's no performance calculators for this airplane, so you could make up anything that's warmer than today's temperature. I'm going to put 39, and that just simply reduces the engine power as if it was a 39-degree day. Performance init. Now we come to the more complicated sections here. Let's start off with the cruise level here. It's not a particularly long flight, but it still wants us to go up all the way to flight level 380. This is one of the differences from the Airbus and the Boeing is don't put in 380, you put in FL 380. Otherwise, it thinks you want to fly at 380 feet, so you have to define the FL. You can also put in I hate that when that happens. You can put in an alternate altitude. So SimBrief has planned our alternate at flight level 230. There we go. We can put that in, and then we can put in our passenger weight and our cargo weight and our fuel weight. I feel like that fuel truck is not coming. I'm going to try pushing the button one more time. And you'll know it's here because you'll get a pop-up. That's one thing I kind of like is when the fuel truck arrives, it just gives you a pop-up. So the fact that it has not given us a pop-up yet really kind of annoys me a little bit, but I don't see a fuel truck anywhere. That might be it. I don't know. Maybe it finally recognized it. That's one thing about the Pushback Express. Sometimes the buttons, if the screen wasn't in focus, the first time you push a button, it doesn't work. So I think it's just the way that kind of the sim is designed as well. So let's see here. Performance page on our EFB in order to figure out our takeoff and or our passenger weights and everything. We could put in the number of passengers. SimBrief's kind of got us over Planet 77, so we're going to bump 7 people off and still take 70 people. And their cargo. And then we can just simply copy that information. So we could put it in there manually, or we could literally just press this button. And I tend to be a little bit of a cheater like that. Nope, didn't like that. Oh, sorry. Set payload in simulator, and then, yeah, sorry. You have to press the set payload in simulator, or you haven't changed anything in simulator, but then press copy perf init. And now we've got our 70 passengers, our 12,000 pounds of cargo, 9,800 pounds of fuel right now. Did we need 9,800 pounds? How much do we need, anyways, to get to... We only needed 96, so we are perfectly bang on, which is a shame because I want to show you the fuel thing, so I may show it to you anyways. So you'll see your takeoff CFG envelope here. Here's where we are right now. So we're above our we're just below our max landing weight, so that's not a problem at all. And we're obviously right in the middle of the envelope, so we're good for takeoff here. You can also set your takeoff performance really easily here, so you can do it the old-fashioned way or you can do it the easy way. Just to show you while I'm looking at this, so you can go in here and set your speeds and select which speed you want to set, and you can dial in the speed, so you can set up your VT, VTFO of 193, and you can do this, and it takes forever, but you know how to do it, or you can just press set, and it sets your VTFO. Or you can even just press set all, and it sets V1, VR, V2, so 132, 132, 142, 193. You'll notice all the 90s have changed, 32, 32, 49. That's a super awesome feature, because dialing stuff in on these knobs is just a pain in the butt in this sim. I really, really hate that. If you don't have 9 center, take 9 right. For departure. 9 center is a brand new runway. They just opened it up like literally like the last 1 or 2 times I was there. So like 4, maybe 5 months ago, I think around Christmas time, they opened up 9 center. So it's a brand new runway, like 10,000 feet long, huge. It's going to increase their operation, so they'll be able to have 6 runways in use simultaneously in Chicago for arrivals and departures. So it's going to increase their capacity. But yeah, if you don't have 9 center in the scenery, 9 right is pretty close to where 9 center is, and it was the default departure. Now 9 right is often not being used for departures just because it's being rebuilt now that they have 9 center open to take the load off. But eventually 9 right is going to be the departure runway. 10 left and 9 right will be the 2 departure runways, depending on which direction you're going. I feel like I'm talking a lot already. Okay, sorry. We were on setting up our perfinet, so we've got our weights all in there. We're happy with our fuel load. Our aircraft performance, you can set in a ISA deviation and a wind, so I'm just going to have a look at my flight plan. ISA deviation is -1, not much of anything fancy there, but you can put in plus, minus, press the button a second time to get -1, and you can put in your average cruise wind, so the FMC will give you some realistic calculations. There we go. And don't forget to execute those. The third page just allows you to specify a taxi out fuel, so the airplane's fuel over destination, and right now when we leave the gate will be correct based on a certain taxi fuel. You can also set an ETD. I'm not going to set one. The other thing you can do is set up your VNAV, so it just sets up your default, your target indicated speed and Mach number. Transition altitude you can also set in here. I'd like to bump this up because I find most of the flight plans are usually bumped up to about 0.78 Mach number. So climbing at 300 is fine, but then when we get up into the higher flight levels, we want to cruise at about Mach 7.8. So that's what I do. And then we leave it 74290, and a vertical path angle of 3 degrees is pretty appropriate. As well, the 250 at 10,000 foot speed limit on the way down. There's the fuel truck. It's here. It's here. Oh my gosh. It arrived. We can load a little bit of fuel here. So what I want to show you as well, guys, because I love this. So normally the fueler will have a fuel panel out there on the wing, and he'll be able to set how much fuel. In the CRJ, well, no, it doesn't want to work today. Does not want to work for me today, so give me 1 second here. Anyways, there we go. So here on the back panel, at the very top, is the fueling panel for this aircraft. I didn't know this was here until I'd flown about 5 times, and I watched the video, and I'm like, oh my god, how long was that there? I didn't even notice. Power on the panel. It'll show you how much fuel's in each tank. You can turn on the various valves. And what you can also do is set an amount of fuel that you want to load into the airplane. So let's just move it up to 10,000, just a little bit of fuel. And then, of course, what you can do is then turn it on. As soon as you turn it on, the sim starts loading fuel automatically for you, and it will stop when it reaches the target. So 10,030 pounds is 5,015 each pound. It'll also balance between the wing tanks and the center tank when it needs to. When that's done, all you got to do is turn it off. And a lot of this actually is not totally functional. These valves, you don't even have to throw the switches. It'll load without throwing those switches. But that's how it would work anyway. So if you want to load a lot more fuel, you could definitely sit there and simulate the time it takes to load more fuel. I really love that feature, though. I had no idea that was there for like days. I flew this whole bunch of flights, and one day somebody pointed that out on a video, and I'm like, oh my god, how long has that panel been up there? And I never even saw it. So, pays to turn around sometimes in these airplanes. Okay, so we've got our FMC all set up. Once we've got our VNAV, that's it. We don't have any takeoff performance in there because there is no auto throttle in this airplane, which is a pain in the rear. But anyways, so we're going to start flowing quickly through the overhead panel. Just make sure that the emergency escape is closed. We don't need DC service. Our battery master's on. We're on AC power right now. All of our generators are in on mode. Fire detection. Push and hold the button, and you should see red lights flashing at you here in front of you there. Red and the green lights also for the fire extinguisher. Make sure the shut-off valves are not pushed in at all. Make sure the lights are as required. Really all we need right now is nav, and if it was night, we might need the logo light. The ELT is armed. Coming up here, fuel pumps. We don't need those on just yet, so they are off. Fuel override is off as well. Bleeds, we've got normal and auto and APU. We've got... we can power that on now because we're probably almost done boarding, and as long as the fuel truck leaves... Did he leave? I don't know if he left. We'd have to look at the external view, but we should make sure he left. But we got the fuel we need anyways. That's also a good indication, so 10,000 pounds. There we go, starting. Make sure none of the ignition things are pushed in, including the continuous ignition button. We should also turn on all of our hydraulic pumps temporarily just to check their function. So these are all the backup electric pumps. So we turn, not electric. I said electric, so I thought electric, but they're backup electric pumps for the hydraulic system. Make sure they pressurize all three systems at 3,000 psi. Great, they do. We can move them back to auto where they will come on if anything fails, but otherwise they'll be at 0. And the number 3 system is only powered by 2 electric pumps, so 3A pump is supposed to be on all the time once we power up the airplane, which it is. Let's see, cabin landing elevation, and this is one that I'm going to have to look up here because I have no idea what the elevation is in KFSD. So I'm going to pull up my nav graph charts here really quickly. Getting there. Someone's upgrading. Thank you for noticing. I do it all for you. I do it all for you. Green screen and all. Okay, so I'm looking for FSD here. Sorry guys, I just FSD elevation 1430. So this is a bit of an awkward thing to do because the knob to control your landing altitude is up here, but you've got to see the readout out here. So this is one of the few times where are really nice. So there we go. So landing elevation, we've got to set that to 1440 because it goes in 20-foot increments. Once you put your mouse on, anyways, you can look away. So 1440, beautiful. All right, so landing elevation set.
Traffic Delta 222 radio check.
Hold, and I got you 5x5. And reach 5x5. How do you read SkyWest 364? Oh, probably
5x5 as well. Thank you.
Yep, perfect. Thank you. Alright, so we don't need the emergency controls. All those are going to be normal. Air conditioning packs, we'll flip them on. They won't do anything until the engine starts, so they'll just show us a fail indication, or they should, I think. Get the recirc fan on. We don't need ram air. We don't need anything in manual mode. We don't need heat in the...
Traffic Delta 222, stand Golf 11.
In the aft section, no, not the probe, sorry. The windshield heat has to go on right now. The probes go on when the engines are started. We don't need any anti-ice. We can test the detector, so turn it on, and we should get an ice detect. ADS heat test, okay, yep, there it is. Turn that back off again. And you can also test your windshield heat as well. We don't need any miscellaneous lights. Good, great. Okay, we can start flowing across the panel here. Nose wheel steering is disarmed. Lights we don't need. The wipers are off. Stall test. Pull that up. Should get a little stall test. Should do it on both sides. I'll let the FO do his own side. Let's see here. And I know you posted it there already, but the altimeter 3022. So we're gonna get this. One thing that's going to take a little bit longer as well with this career right now is because I don't have FS2 crew helping me out and doing some of the stuff. I am doing the whole flow by myself, which is fine. I don't mind. But I got very used to it, and that's what helps you have 20-minute turns and 30-minute turns is when you have, oh, for crying out loud, somebody helping you. When you're doing it all by yourself, it gets a little bit difficult. So we got 3022. We've got our speeds already set. Our nav source is set to FMS. PFD's on normal mode. We're all good there. And the traffic you can see is on. If you see these little tiny dashes around this 20-mile loop, that's the indication the traffic's on. So if I turn the traffic off, those little dashes disappear. So turn it back on. test our cockpit flight recorder, cockpit voice recorder here. Hold for 5 seconds, you see the green light go on. There it is. As well, stupid zooming in all the time. We should set our altitude to 5,000. So we got 5,000 on there. Let's get our go around up there, takeoff, perfect. Alright. Oh, I didn't mean to push that. We're going to get the whole test, too, for 3 minutes here. Frack. Oh, I hate that test sometimes. Okay, so we don't need to set any of the modes in the guidance panel. We did set the altitude. We're going to need to set... the speed's already set for V2 plus 10. Oh, my God. It's going to do the whole thing. It takes about 3 minutes to do all the GPWS callouts, too. Alright, well, we'll just keep on going. At least it's quiet, so you guys don't have to listen to it too much. I forget what the exact heading is here. It's like 093 or something like that. 300. 200.
150.
40. 30. 20. Oh my God. There is a lot of stuff embedded in there. I was right, it is 093. Huh, I looked it up there, and it is 093, so... It's almost like I've been to Chicago more than once. I was like the only place we're going at the end there. Turn off the anti-skid, you should see the warnings, and then turn it back on. They should disappear in a couple of seconds. Got the gear bay overheat. We should also get a fail flag there. We do. We can also do a lamp test. Much like the Dash 8, this thing is just full of 1,001 light bulbs. So just test and make sure that everything comes on, nothing's burnt out. I don't think this sim has the capability of burning out light bulbs anyways, but just as a real, as a procedure, it's a good thing to check. One thing I did notice, I shouldn't be doing that at the gate, but the flap lever has now correlates properly to your flap axis. That's something that they fixed. It wasn't correlating very well before, and now it correlates properly to the flap axis, so you can really use your control columns, which is nice. Let's see here. We've got 22.8 up there. What have we got? We got 2,000. That's good enough for us right now. For some reason, this always defaults to absolute altitude, not relative altitude, and I've never seen a TCAS system that does that. But anyways. Let's see here. Make sure we have our stab trim on, our mock trim on. Obviously, we've got these in nav. Our transponder's not on yet. Our weather radar is just off. Our weather radars are off. We should be checking our trims. They're such a pain in the butt to realign. Again, I don't bother checking them, but you should check the trim for real. Yaw damper has to go on. Sorry for the shaking. It's just having a hard time picking out where my track IR is, and I think we're good to go there. Wow, you guys have been talking a lot, and I haven't even paid attention. That's the face. Oh my God. Okay. I'm going to turn off the face if you guys are going to keep making fun of the face. I think we're just about ready. So we got the APU up and running, and let's just check and make sure we do have APU doors open. The APU is running at full power, and also the GPU automatically switched itself from on to available when the GPU generator came on. So we can take away the GPU. We can start closing some doors. We have the catering door open, we have the cargo door open, we can take those away. And we can do a quick little departure briefing for you guys. So, let's see here. And I really don't have, let's see, all I can do in here is do this. I should be able to do G. And I don't think it's going to let me do it. That's annoying. Okay. Not to worry. Pardon me. Alright, let's see here. So, we're going to do a little departure briefing here. I'm going to pull up my Navigraph charts for you guys here. First of all, for any master warning, no, not present, for in the event of any abnormality during taxi, will stop. This will be left seat takeoff. Any malfunctions prior to the V1 of 132, I'll call stop or go. If the call is stop, I'll close the thrust levers, apply maximum brake, disconnect the auto throttle, apply, oh, we don't have an auto throttle, apply maximum reverse, stop on the runway, and set the park and brake PA, remain seated. You'll verify reverse, monitor deceleration, call through 60 knots, and advise ATC, mayday, SkyWest 364, stopping on the runway. If the call is go, we're at or above V1, continue the takeoff at 400 feet. Call heading mode, verify the bank, and ask you to identify the failure. The emergency turn out of Chicago is just going to be runway heading. It's a pretty flat country out here, so just runway heading. Once established in the climb, we'll retract the flaps on schedule and then action the emergency. Alright, so that's the emergency brief out of the way. So again, here at Chicago, we're going to depart 10 center. Look, they have even taken 9 right off as a runway altogether for the time being because they're extending it. They're doing a huge amount of construction. So I'm going to take 9 center, so it's going to be a bit of a long taxi, but we'll probably go out. I don't even know how to get there, really. I would expect we're going to go out Alpha and then maybe Alpha 9 Tango over here to, I don't even know if there's a normal departure. Maybe Foxtrot, because that's still a very long way. So yeah, let's do that. We'll plan
ready to taxi,
Alpha, and then to cut over to Tango Foxtrot.
Alpha 9, Romeo, Hotel, X-Ray, Old Short 9 right. And we'll give you a call. Chicago traffic, Delta Triple.
And the O'Hare 6 departure off of runway 9 center. 20-3, effective 5th of November, a speed restriction. All turbojets and all departures maintain 250 knots until advised by ATC. So even above 10, you maintain 250 knots. If we don't have any ATC, we'll accelerate at our own discretion. As well, we have the restriction here. All aircraft expect radar vectors to first fix and expect radar clearance to requested altitude. Top altitude is 5,000. Cross the 5.5 GCO at or above 3,000. 8.5 GCO at or above 4,000. Maintain 5,000 as assigned, and if unable to comply, advise ATC as soon as possible. Prior to departure, we can't do any of that, but what we can do is we can pull up GCO 108.25 and make sure we have it up here on our nav radios. Oh, look, we already do, at least on nav 1. So we should be getting a good readout on nav on VOR1 there. And actually what we can do is we can even take off, because we're not enough, we could even take off in VOR mode, and there you go. We'll have that GCO distance in there until we get turned on course. Okay. So that is the departure. Weather is obviously a beautiful day, not much of an issue for departure. Operational, no MELs on the aircraft. Everything works well on this aircraft. NOTAMs. Do I even dare to look at the NOTAMs for Chicago O'Hare and rant about the problems with this industry? But here are the NOTAMs for Chicago O'Hare. 1, 2, 3, 4.5 pages of NOTAMs for Chicago O'Hare. And a lot of this is that construction, so it's specifically detailing what is closed. It's almost too much to even really look through and contemplate. So I go right to the runways at least to make sure the runways, see if there's anything affecting the runway. RVR threshold unserviceable, PAPI's unserviceable, okay. Oh, not 9 right, 9 center. Actually, nothing really about 9 center. Approach line system commissioned. SIDS, nothing about the SID, which is going to affect me, and then the rest is approach and star, and that doesn't affect me at all. So I'd say that, yeah, NOTAMs, we'll watch for any potential construction, but otherwise we should be good. And noise abatement is built into the SID. They don't care about noise too much here. You turn wherever you're told. An immediate return, we're a little bit below the max landing weight, so immediate return is possible without any fuel dumping or weight loss. That's about all I have. Do you have any questions? All right, I don't have an FO anymore, so on my own. Okay, one last thing we gotta do is let's just get through this before I start checking, then we're good to go here. All right, so, and I should actually do this. I didn't do this part of my flow. All right, so before start check, passenger signs panel is, the fueling's done, so I should have put this on a long time ago. On. Landing elevation, we did set to 1440. Altimeters, we got 3022. Did I set it twice? Oh, I did not. Bad me. Alright, and they do match at about just a little under 700. Good, perfect. FMS is checked and set. Everything is set in it. The IRSs are aligned both in nav. Everybody's showing nice fully aligned IRSs. Radios and nav aids, we got Unicom, we got the transponder at 2000, and takeoff briefing is complete. Before start checklist is complete, and that's about it. So let's get ready with Pushback Express here, and I'll show you how well this works. So I just push this button, and away she goes. Give it about 3 seconds, and the bridge should go. There it goes. And there goes the bridge, backing away. Perfect. Now the bridge is away. We can put up the door. And we got the parking brake set. We can go ahead and even remove the chocks.
Captain, the cabin is secure. All passengers are aboard.
Thank you. Cockpit to ground.
Go ahead, flight deck.
We are ready for pushback and engine start.
Roger. Release the parking brakes, please.
And I'm just going to hold off on that for 1 second while I just do this. So cleared to start check. Personal electric devices are off. APU is on. And the electrics are checked. You can pull it up again just to make sure it is holding its load there. The APU is doing the load. Takeoff data is all set. Doors. We have a page for that. Make sure I didn't forget one. Doors are all closed and locked. Beacon. On. Fuel pumps. On. And hydraulic pumps. Auto on. Parking brake. And transponder. So we get the transponder on here first, and it doesn't connect to Microsoft Flight Sim or to vPilot properly half the time. Oh, it did work that time. Nice. And we can take the brake off.
American Airlines 4603 Delta Triple.
Brakes
Which
released.
runway were you planning on landing at?
All right, so here comes the tug, and this is
Okay,
Pushback
that's
Express,
fine.
so I get to control it
Thank you very much.
with the rudder pedals as he starts pushing, which is really kind of fun. Get that stupid mouse pointer out of the way. Go. Yeah, the TCAS seems to work now. Or the, not the TCAS, but the transponder seems to work properly now, which is good. Alright, let's see anybody else out in the alley. So all I have to do is use the rudder pedals and I can control the steering. Oh, wrong way, I wanted to go this way. The other thing we can do, of course, while we're doing this, we can't do everything, but we should also be starting the airplane. Alright, so we'll say we're clear on 2, starting 2. And I should have the status page up for this. And then we're looking for 20%, so we got N2 rotation, we're looking for 20% N2. I'm going to pop out just so I can see what this guy's doing. And I can even adjust the speed, which is really kind of neat. I really like Pushback Express now that I've started flying the CRJ a little bit here. Still not quite there yet, but once I get straightened out here, you can even use the pitch axis to accelerate or decelerate. So here it is, and I can even get myself, I can even reverse direction if I slow down all the way and then go the other direction. We can even do a push where we do kind of pull a little bit to the last position here. That's 20% right there, so let's go ahead and just get that thrust lever up to idle there. And then all I got to do is say stop pushback. Stop pushback.
Pushback complete. Set parking brakes, please.
Brake set.
Roger. Okay, the tow bar is disconnected and the equipment is clear. We will see you on the right-hand side with the pin.
Thank you. It's not bad. It's not much of an immersion, but it's something. I did see the other pushback software you sent me. I like Pushback Express now because it's got the voice activation too, and that's kind of nice. Alright, so we got a normal start. Everything looks to be running properly. The only thing we do at this point is we turn off the fuel pumps for a second, just to verify that we get the proper fuel pump warnings and fuel pump low pressure warnings on the left side without the pumps running. We get all those warnings properly, so we can turn those back on and start the left engine. I am now flying for SkyWest, so thank you for asking. I think I mentioned that at the beginning, but you probably weren't watching. But if you could see it there on the side of the airplane, operated by SkyWest. Which is just nice because they have a really extensive route network. So it took me a long time to pick this particular schedule here. Here is, we're waiting for 20%. Took me a long time. Mostly because there's a lot of airports, especially hub airports, that don't have scenery yet. Places like Minneapolis and Detroit and Cleveland, and I wanted to, at least at the hub airports, have good scenery. So I kept on picking and picking and picking until I found a combination that worked. Zambezi Air. Again, part of the reason why I want to do this, though, is I want to make use of the airports I already have now. So I've already stepped up and bought a few American airports like Chicago, Denver, Portland, a couple places like that. So I really want to kind of try and take advantage of those. So that's why I'm not doing like Africa or anything like that for now. Probably will down the road, though. Alright, so it looks like we got a normal start on 1 as well. So we can go ahead and shut off the APU.
Runway 10 center fully ready for landing. 5 miles out.
And we can get on the probe heat. And I'm just trying to remember all the things that are in this flow here. We got flaps 8. There we go. Get the thrust reversers on, get the nose steering on. I believe that's everything. And we got to do a flight control check as well. So let's get the flight controls up there. Flight controls, pitch, roll, and yaw. Alright, so those all appear to be working normally. And once the APU has powered down enough, we can actually turn it off. In the meantime, let's do the after start check. Generators are auto and electrics. A lot of back and forth in this airplane. Electrics checked. And it would be so much easier if you had your fingers actually here, but just using a mouse and looking around at what you're doing can be so awkward sometimes. Bleed valves are auto and the packs are on. APU is shutting down and the speed 0, so we can go ahead and close the door as well by turning off the power switch. Anti-ice we don't need off, and nose wheel steering is armed. The after start checklist is complete. And we'll get the taxi light on. Chicago traffic, good morning. SkyWest 364 is at Golf Concourse, taxiing for departure. Runway 9 Center will be taxiing out via Alpha Tango and Foxtrot Foxtrot. And we're underway. And the one thing I want to do as well is make sure that this properly started here. It didn't. Not connected to Flight Simulator. Oh, you know why? Because I don't have FSU IPC running. I'm just going to stop for a second, guys. Sorry about this. Where is my Flight Sim apps here? So because FSU IPC...
Chicago traffic Delta 222, holding short runway 9 right. We're lining up for takeoff on the O'Hare 1 departure, making a northbound turn after takeoff. O'Hare traffic.
Okay, so now it should hopefully work. I hope. This whole thing is for nothing. Have a nice flight. Thank you. Perfect. Okay, so yeah, so FSU IPC for Microsoft Flight Simulator is not a plug-in anymore. It's a standalone program, so you have to remember to run it for all the software that needs it, such as a pilot's life. So now we're tracking that, and while I'm at it, this should also be tracking on there. And you guys should also see stuff. I haven't even looked at the bloody overlay for a little while, but you guys should see the information at the top there. Should see me in the corner. Woo! I feel like the white balance is not right on this camera, but I'll work on that eventually. Alright, but we are underway. For some reason there's TBMs and caravans parked at the gates here in Chicago. I don't know how to turn off that AI traffic. It used to never work, and now it's working way too well. But I will say, certainly the Chicago, the FSDreamTeam Chicago O'Hare, really good. Really nice detailed airport. Really don't notice a huge performance penalty. And that's the other nice thing. I haven't noticed a substantial performance penalty. Occasionally, when you're looking around quickly at new stuff, it will take a couple seconds to load some stuff. But overall, looks really good. Now, I'm not sure if this scenery has 10 center in it now that or 9 center in it now that I've planned the departure. I thought it did. I thought I looked before, but now I can't remember if I did or not. You know, that's actually not a bad idea there, Phil. Just to have a batch file that starts both the simulator and FSU IPC. That's not a bad idea. I might contemplate setting that up, because FSU IPC is such a useful utility. You won't mind if it's running even if you're not using it. So, just gonna minimize my other thing here. Still no ATC. Where's my VPilot? Just to make sure. No ATC. Alright. Coming around past the United Concourse there. That's the huge United double concourse there.
Traffic Delta 222, we're rolling runway 9 right.
And then at some point here, I should be able to cut out over to Tango. One of these taxiways. There you go. I think that's you there.
Chicago traffic, crossing runway 10 left.
So this one, so that's Bravo there, so then that's Tango behind it. So I'm going to go down Tango and see where it leads. I'm hoping it leads to 10 center, but it's such a new runway. I thought that I checked to see if the scenery had it, but now that I think I was going to, and then I don't think I did. So we're going to go and find out if it exists together. And if not, we'll just take 9 right. I keep saying 10 center, it's 9 center. Because I feel like FSDreamTeam was kind of putting stuff together based on sort of the final master plan. I mean, Chicago's in the middle of like an 8-year huge construction boom where they're just like rearranging all the runways and extending the runways and doing all sorts of stuff, closing runways. This taxiway used to be this taxiway used to be a runway. Or is it that right there? One of these used to be a runway, and they've closed it down just because the intersecting runways are just not feasible here with the amount of traffic on the other runways. It's much easier to just have 6 parallel runways than to have 6 crossing runways. So let's just see here. I'm just going to pull up my Navigraph charts again here just to see where we are and just make sure we are in the right spot. So we'll see in a second anyways if Foxtrot, and 9 center exist. And if not, we'll hang a right and take 9 right. It's not going to affect the departure procedure at all. That's the nice thing about having a straight up vector SID. Should have just taken that. This is me trying to be realistic because I know 9 right is closed right now for construction. So here I am trying to take 9 center and it probably doesn't even exist yet. And, well, the taxiways don't exist over here, so we're taking the long tour of Chicago anyways. There's some pavement over there. Oh, this was the runway. So this is now just a taxiway. They've just reclassified it, but oh, we do have Foxtrot here. Oh, very nice. Okay, so we probably do have this here. Yes, and because this here looks like it's 9 right. I bet you this sign, as we come up to it's going to say 9 right on it. Is it? No. Nope, this is one of the parallel taxiways. Never mind. I thought it was going to say 9 right on it. Oh, this is hotel. I should actually be doing the taxi check at some point, too. There is a separate taxi check on this aircraft. So slats and flaps, we've got 8 set. Flight controls are checked. Trims, we've got green 7.5 units. Thrust reversers are armed. Flight instruments are checked. And brake temps are all green. And this is 9 right. So, and because 9 right extends all this way, I think that what they've done is and I think I remember FSDreamTeam saying this, was they basically gone with the final master plan. So this whole section of 9 right is in the scenery, even though it hasn't even been built yet in the real world. So clear on the left. Chicago air traffic, SkyWest 364 crossing runway 9 right for 9 center. Strobe light should be on for the runway crossing. And the approach lights are over there right now, but eventually this will all be runway. I hope that there's a 9 center up here, or I'm going to be very annoyed. No, I think I see a red sign down there. Taxi all the way over here to a runway that doesn't exist. Wouldn't that be funny? Alright, yeah, we're good. Yeah, because I remember flying in here, and I'm pretty sure I landed on this runway, so okay. Anyways. And we got to do before takeoff checklist. Alright, so then there's a short little flow for this. It's basically get the lights on. And turn the fuel pump cross feed to manual. Clear on the left, clear on the right. And let's see here. I feel like the sound of this airplane is really quiet. Lights and strobes are on. Fuel cross flow is manual. Flight attendants are advised. Cabin crew seats for departure. Transponder TCAS is on. Radar terrain are set and CAS checked. Alright, and we're ready to go before takeoff. Checklist is complete. I'm just going to pop. I find The screen's a little bit small sometimes for this. I'm going to put it behind me. You guys aren't going to see it, but I'll see it. Alright, here we go. Chicago Air Traffic SkyWest 364 rolling for departure runway 9 center. .80 knots. V1, rotate. Positive rate, gear up. Really quiet. Background noise. Alright. Climb power. Alright, what we'll do is we'll set speed, then we'll set the autopilot, and we should have also set heading, but there we are. Alright, we'll get a turn going here to the north. We can also flaps 1. Come in. We can change heading faster than that. Oh, for crying out loud. Stupid. I hate sometimes this. There we go. 360 for now. There's 3,000. We're only 2.7 miles from Chicago. And we can probably go speed. Let's go speed 220. It's capturing the altitude anyways. It pitched up to capture the altitude, so we're going to lose speed there for a second. We should have the flaps retracted, but I missed my chance there because I'm flying this whole thing single pilot. But right now it's going to start pitching down to maintain that 5,000. And we can go ahead and set the speed all the way up to 250. Ah, you stupid piece of... This is one of the things I hate about Microsoft Flight Simulator. I love a lot of things about this sim. I do, but this is one of the things I hate. Alright, flaps up. Okay, and... So we obviously made the altitude restrictions. We're only 3.6 miles from Chicago here. Let's go ahead and do direct to Mikey. Execute. And we can go ahead and engage LNAV. Then we can set a higher altitude of 380. Why is it not turning? Why is it not? I swear I clicked LNAV. Oh. Why is it not turning? Because I'm still in FMS mode. That's why. Now it's turning. Lord. Okay, in the meantime, we are way over speeding now while we were schmucking around there. And I do this all the time because I'm so used to auto throttle. I am so used to auto throttle. And I hate that I'm so used to it, I've become dependent upon it. And I can't function without it. Okay, so there's the 250. Now it's going to pitch up to get there, and then we have to set our cruise altitude here. And I hate the zooming. I hate the zooming! Oh my god, I'm going to shoot it! At 34,000 feet set for now anyways. Alright, so we're turned on course very slowly and sloppily, and we also way oversped the 250, and we're back up to... We're slowly reducing to 250 now, so that was terrible. Aha! That would be awesome. I'm going to have to look into that. Phil says you can add a modifier so that the zoom only works when you're pressing like Control or Shift. Oh, that would be a wonderful thing. I may have to do that. Okay. It took us a long time here, but let's get the after takeoff checklist done here really quickly. Or the climb check as it's called here. In the CRJ climb check, fuel cross flow is off. Bleeds and APU are all set. APU's off, the bleeds are on. Thrust reversers are now off. And the CAS, we check, just the seatbelt sign to go. And there is pretty much 10,000 already now that we got the speed back to 250. Boy, she's climbing like a rocket ship. And there goes Chicago. Oh, that was a busy departure. I forget how busy the departure is in this airplane. So much to do. Alright, so we're through 10,000. Let's go ahead and get the lights off. And let's go ahead and get the seatbelts off. Alright, and I think that's mostly everything done there. So we got ourselves established on course. We got 34,000. I'm going to sync up that heading bug in case anything happens here. Hoi! I can take away the bearing pointer as well. It's not really doing me any good anymore. Alright, and there we go. We're on our way. And do I have the power in the detent? No, I don't. I was reducing it because we were overspeeding, so there we go. So we're back in the climb detent, and there we go. We're underway. That was way longer than I anticipated to get underway. And that was way sloppier on the departure. So I'm going to apologize, first of all, for the terrible sloppiness of that departure. That is not the standard I like to fly to. This airplane really, really needs a second crew member. It really does. There's so much going on, especially because it's manual thrust, and if you're sitting here and trying to dial in an altitude or a heading or something like that, and the airplane in the meanwhile is leveling off and speeding up, and you can't feel it, is the other thing too. Like in the real world, when a plane like this levels off, you feel that acceleration. Your butt prompts you to pull that power back. But in the sim, it's just all pictures on the screen. You don't really feel that, so it's a lot more challenging to try and just to fly and be aware. Okay, so since we're above 10,000 and there's no ATC online, we can go ahead and accelerate. And one thing I did find is that there is a speed control key press as well. So, Phil, I really want to take you up on that zooming modifier button though, because that would be really helpful at this point. You're concentrating on your own problems. Mouse zoom options. Oh. Thank you, Phil. I won't read it now just because I got kind of stuff going on, but I will read it later. So thank you for finding that. Yeah, in aviation, your butt is one of the most important sensors of the aircraft. when you feel it moving, when you feel a movement through your butt, through the seat of your pants, then that's a great indication that something's happening or not. So. Yeah, you want to be able to feel that, and that's the thing about flying the simulator. And even the level D sims, you feel it, but it's not quite the same. You feel that acceleration in the airplane, especially this airplane. Like this airplane's got a lot of power to it. At least at the lower levels, it falls off pretty quickly as you get to higher altitudes, but it's got a lot of power to it. So if you level off, you feel that acceleration. You will feel that acceleration. All right, so there's transition. Not that button, that button. And I just zapped my nav there, but we'll go ahead and put it back in nav. There it is. It's an FMS. Standard, set and cross-checked. I am looking so forward to having FS2 crew. I'm so looking forward to having FS2 crew in this sim, in this airplane, because it's such a busy airplane, and to be able to tell this guy, hey, set flight level 340, set speed 250 while I'm doing a checklist or something like that, or having to do the checklist or whatever, going to be a huge load off. Trying to set stuff in this sim is not always the easiest. Yes, it's a new overlay. The old overlay I was using, I don't think it actually works with Microsoft Flight Simulator, but also just the clean design of this sim lends itself to that nice new overlay. So the problem I had with the previous sim, of course, was that you had like a menu bar up here at the top. I was running in full screen mode, but no, I wasn't running in full screen mode. I was running in windowed mode. So you had the menu bar up here at the top. You'd see the Windows taskbar down here at the bottom. So I used the overlay to cover those up because I thought they kind of detracted from the experience, the streaming experience overall. This sim is so clean. When it's running, you don't see anything, so it's nice to have like this overlay where you can see just sky and stuff behind it. I really like this overlay. This is Sim Toolkit Pro's overlay, actually. This is Sim Toolkit Pro running this overlay, so yeah, I like their overlay. It's nice. It doesn't quite have all the same information, but it's still really nice. It's a really slick looking interface. It's still got the progress bar right here, so this right here is the progress bar. So it does show you where how the progress is going. It's going to go pretty quick today. And then the other nice thing I can do if I fade myself out here for a minute is that Sim Toolkit Pro does allow you to have a map here instead. So I set this up with a map as well here, so you can see where the progress of the flight here and the flight plan route there. So I don't know if you want to look at the map or you want to look at me. time for the descent briefing. Yes, this is a quick leg, and this is the thing about flying for SkyWest too, is we're going to be doing regional flying now. A lot of shorter legs, a lot of hour-long, hour-and-a-half long legs. It's not going to be long legs anymore. But to me, that's kind of nice. I was getting doing like a 4 or 5 hour stream's exhausting. It really is. So I'm looking forward to having shorter legs. I really am. And it's not that I don't like streaming, but like 4 or 5 hours of talking is a long time. So I'm looking forward to these shorter legs. That's why I kind of want to do a shorter leg today. How are we doing on time here? See, it's already gotten quite late. We'll see what time it is when we pull up the gate in Sioux Falls. I may still do the trip back. May. With that cheesy smile on the map, thank you. Thank you, Phil, for your never-ending support. I don't know what I would do without you. I'd probably have more self-confidence. Alright, so there's our route there. We already reached Mikey. There's our top of descent point up there. It's about 250 miles away, but it's not going to take us long to get there, especially once we get up into cruise here. It's going to be a short cruise, so we will start setting up pretty much when we level off. But as I said before, it's pretty flat ground out here west of Chicago. A lot of farm fields. Nothing too exciting terrain-wise. So yeah, engine failure, procedure after departure, fly runway heading. Nothing else. It's just that easy. Unless there's an airport out there, there's nothing else getting in the way. I may have to close down the chat on this Twitch. You guys are being mean to me now. I may have to close down the chat here. You guys are being way too mean. That felt like a lot of work. That felt like a lot of work getting that up and running. Oh my gosh. And especially just being the new sim and kind of getting used to it. I also find it's really quiet, but maybe that's just me. Do you guys find the balance is okay volume-wise, like with the background noise of the sim? Especially in the flight deck. And the thing about the CRJ, of course, is that the engines are in the back, so it's a long way from the engines to the flight deck. You don't want to be sitting here. I've sat here in a CRJ. Boy, that's noisy right there. You know, maybe the balance is good. It just seems... But she's a very nice airplane, that's for sure. It looks really good, and a lot of people have spent a lot of time. This is a freeware add-on livery that I found specifically for the SkyWest and the American Eagle brand. But even then, like people have spent a lot of time. That I guess they've used the paint kits as well. But like the detail, like when you start to zoom in here. Now I wonder if I can do this properly here. If this is gonna, no, this should work. Okay, excellent. So if you use the drone camera, and I'm just sort of getting used to this drone camera here in Microsoft Flight Simulator, but you can really kind of, trying to zoom in here, you can get really, really bloody close to the airplane, and it still looks really good. Now, the detail around the door is a little bit mucky here. It doesn't really look like a seam when you get really close to it, but like when you look at things like the decaling, like, whoa, that's really close, but anyways, like that, like right there. If I can stop it from bobbing up and down, like look at how clear the decaling is here, and it just shows you some of the fantastic stuff that you can do with Microsoft Flight Simulator. Is all these, you know, it's not just one texture, but it's decals of various different resolutions applied to the outside of the aircraft. So the overall skin is one giant decal. That's just going up and down because of the turbulence, I guess. But then you can also have like individual stickers, so you can have things like numbers, like tail numbers, fin numbers, warning signs, logos. All this stuff could be super, super detailed. You can get so incredibly close to it, and I kind of like that view. It's kind of neat just to see the SkyWest brand name there. I'm a huge company man. All right, and then I have a little bit of trouble sometimes getting back in the flight deck. I have to set up a key for that properly. Okay, so we're almost there. I can't even remember, honestly, 100% if was it 34 or 38 was our cruise. Just looking here at my flight plan, it was 38 was actually our cruise, so we should probably actually set that so we get the accurate fuel burn and everything else. I hate you, but I'm going to fix that before the next stream. There we go. Thank you, Phil, for that link, because I'm going to fix that before the next stream. Ooh, a passenger view through the window. That's an interesting idea. Can I do that in here? No. I don't even know how to. I don't even know how to slew around the flight deck. I'm gonna have to look into that. I've started playing with the camera controls, and they are actually really quite good in this sim. They're quite powerful. But they take some getting used to. There's a, you just have to basically set up a whole bunch of key presses. There's not a lot of the stuff isn't set by default. A lot of the camera controls are not bound by default. So you really have to sort of take some time to go through it and figure out what you're going to want to use and set up properly. I thought I had something to pop me over there automatically. Yeah, I don't think I can change it with any of these. No. I'll do it another time. I'm going to have to just pass on it for now. I believe that's the Mississippi already, so we've already come to the end of Illinois, and that's Mississippi right there. That's the Mississippi River, I mean. Is it the insert key? Oh, it's the insert key, thank you. That's the one. No, insert key switches between... Anyways, so this is my drone view. So that if I press insert, that takes me... Okay, yep, okay. Thank you. See, and there's so much to learn in Microsoft Flight Simulator. I've gotten very comfortable with the whole P3D world, and I know the P3D keys, and I know how to use chase plane extremely well, but it's just a whole new animal. So it's got lots of power to it, lots of powerful features, but it just takes some getting used to. But we are on our merry little way. One thing apparently they did with this as well in the last one was they... I think they updated the times now to... Nope, I thought they had. Anyways, it says we're 50 minutes away from FSD. I don't think it's going to hold as we accelerate here. Maybe it's 50 minutes. We got some time. But we are going to be there pretty quick. It is a short leg, but I'm okay with that. I wanted a short leg. I didn't want a long leg. Like I said, I've done so many long legs. Those last 5 or 6 legs in the WestJet airplane have just been so long, and it's just nice to do a shorter leg and get it streamed done in an hour and a half, 2 hours, rather than a 4 to 5 hour slog where I have to step away because I can't talk anymore. So it's nice to have a shorter leg, and that's one of the reasons why I was also kind of looking a little bit forward to flying this airplane. WestJet's got some nice routes, but a lot of them are fairly long. Canada's a huge country. To get between the major cities is quite big, and then to get to all their American destinations was also quite big. So I think I bit off more than I could chew with that last schedule in the 737. There were just some ridiculously long legs. Can I leave this page? No, I can't. I can't even see the... Yeah. What I can do is I can bring up this page and I can go into fleet, and this actually, because of all that, became my most flown airplane in the P3D world. Out of all the airplanes I have, this airplane became the most flown airplane because look at all those long legs we ended up doing throughout that pilot's life career there. And it was just one season, but it was about 14, 15 legs, I think, in total. It was a lot of legs. It was 14 or 15 legs, and it was just a lot of long legs. We had the short one, obviously, the Victoria to Vancouver, but most of them were like 2 hours or more. So very quickly built up the hours. It also just became very tiring, though. So I'm excited. Is it an RNP approach to runway 15? I don't know if this thing's RNP equipped. I'm trying to think now, because this is actually... If you want to change the weather in your sim, I can't stop you. This thing's really climbing like a dog up here. I'm going to get it back to 7.4 for the climb, just to really kind of help it through that last 1,000 feet there, because she's just climbing like a dog now. Alright, but we're getting there. And enjoying that beautiful scenery. See some airports down there, and you can see the airports, but they don't stand out like sore thumbs like they did in P3D. I can see it. I'm aware it's an airport, but it's not like ridiculously obvious. It's still the same color more or less as the things that surround it. Here you go. We got altitude capture for 380. Perfect. And just heading just off into the Midwest. And this is the life of the regional pilot, is shorter legs. There's an hour and a half legs, and you do 4 of them in a day sometimes. You end up exhausted by the end of the day, especially depending on the airport you go to. But Chicago is an airport that can be exhausting just because you spend as much time taxiing around as you do in flight sometimes. just to get to and from the runway. I've been number 42 in line for takeoff in Chicago. I've taxied past the entire line of airplanes waiting for takeoff and get to the end of the airport, the far end of the airport. The one time I did it, it was we were, let's see here, we were departing 28 right from November 5, which is the standard departure point, November 5. So from here, the lineup for takeoff went all the way down November, all the way down to the end of the airport. This is, I think we counted as, we tried to count as we were going past anyways, and we got up to like 42 airplanes. And we basically got in line, we came down Lima, swung around at the end here, and this was the start of the lineup for takeoff. All the way down the like 9,000 feet of runway to November 5. It was ridiculous. So Chicago's an airport that requires patience sometimes. Alright, I gotta get rid of some of the stuff on here because this map is just too crowded, so let's just see if we can't get rid of the airports. That makes it a little better. Yeah, I'll do that. VNav, components. We'll put on VNav. I'd like to have that there as well. And I'm just trying to spot where the top of descent point is here, and I don't think it seems to have one. Unfortunately, I swear there was. Oh, there it is. Yep, there it is. It was just recalculating. So there it is. So top of descent point. So a little bit after SMID. So yeah, we'll probably be at top of descent in about 20 minutes. But we're leveling cruise now, so it's as good a time as any to. If you got any questions, ask them now. Otherwise, I'm going to start setting up for this arrival. But I do love this sim. The lighting in the sim is fantastic. Looking around the flight deck and seeing the light play off different things, and you get little shafts of sunlight everywhere. When you zoom in on them a little bit, you see that they're a little bit, you know, the edges are a little bit fuzzy perhaps, and a little bit of kind of some odd lines there that probably are just generated by the way it falls on the airplane. But overall, like the impact is fantastic. And I mean, obviously this is broad daylight right now. When you get into those in-between hours in the morning hours and the dusk hours when the sun is just rising, just setting, it just has some beautiful tones. And even the way, I also love the way the overall tone changes when you have an overcast sky. So instead of being like a very bright sunny day, it kind of goes to kind of a bit of a yellowy kind of color overall. Like just even having that cloud deck above you kind of changes the color. The way they've done that is very masterful. I'm very impressed with the Sopo's ability to create that lighting model. Let's see how the glide slope works. Good luck. Apparently my glide slope has been fixed. I haven't actually tried it yet, but apparently that was one of the things that was fixed in this version. So let's see, we're trying to do Mach 7, 8, and really at this point the speed is nothing more than just provide a reference. So we're trying to do Mach 7, 8. So yeah, we got pretty much Mach 7, 8. I'm just going to leave it full bore at this point. Fuel be, I could probably pull it just out of the detents and let it decelerate just a little bit. But at this point, that speed bug is nothing more than just a reference, just a target, but it's not something that the airplane's going to try and track once we're in cruise. Anywho, we're underway. Travis, disappointed you didn't want to come flying with us today, but what are you going to do? Or are you secretly flying behind us? I don't even have my VATSPY up on this. I have to go turn around and look behind me on the other screen just to see VATSPY. Nope. There we are. There's the two of us, and there's nobody else. And we're the only people going to Sioux Falls. Surprise, surprise. Not a popular destination, so what are you going to do? Hi. I just can't help but want to look out the window all the time, though. And I try not to do it so much where I actually fall out the window. I try my best to try and keep it, like, realistic how much you look out the window there. As best you can. It's not something you can necessarily always do, but I like to try and keep the perspective as realistic as possible when we're doing this, and especially this pilot life career. It really is, to me, is all about kind of an immersion, trying to show you guys kind of what it's really like to be a pilot. And this is the thing. Now would be the time where you take like 10 minutes and like eat your lunch super quick before you start setting up for the arrival, because once you get to Sioux Falls, chances are you're doing a turn, you're heading all the way back to Chicago. You've got to, and you've got maybe 25 minutes on the ground to do it. So you've got to do it like super quick, so you don't have any time to eat on the ground. All you got time to on the ground to do is do the walk around, get back in the airplane, and go. So yeah, this would be when you'd be eating your lunch pretty much. Your meal revolves around the flight. Your meal schedule revolves around the flight schedule, and generally it's eat in flight. Couldn't. Well, so what do you do with no star? with no ATC, you do what you want. It's a good question. At the end of the day, like really, the plan is just a plan. It's just more or less a basic guide to get you there. But if you have no star, then at some point you're probably going to go direct to the initial fix. So I haven't even looked at the chart. So you know what? We're going to pull up those charts right now for you in Sioux Falls. And I could do it the other way, but I'm just going to do it this way because it's going to be just as quick. So yeah, so we're planning the RNAV runway 15. This is RNP. It's an LNAV VNAV, so yeah, so we don't need RNP. But if you were planning this one, then yeah, all I would do is probably I would just at some point I would set up myself when I'm 50 to 100 miles away from here. I'd probably set up direct to either Secto or direct to CPOL and plan to fly the it's not the procedure turn in the U.S. It's called the course reversal. I'd probably just go to Secto because it'd probably be a little bit easier. It's only 16 miles away, so it probably wouldn't be too far out of your route. And I would skip the Sioux Falls VOR altogether. So flight plans are just that. They're plans. They're not something that you have to slavishly adhere to. You can always change the plan based on what's happening that day and based on what you actually need. So the biggest thing a flight plan is for is to give you kind of a baseline route to start with. And if at any point in time you have a communication failure with ATC, that's what you do. You stick to the plan. So whatever your plan was, that's what you stick to. But 99% of the time, of course, you're going to have ATC. Not so much on VATSIM, but in the real world, you'd have ATC. ATC would take you off your flight plan at whatever point is convenient for them to get you transitioning into the approach. So at some point for them, probably 50 or 100 miles back, they would either start putting you on vectors to sort of set you up for a straight in or maybe even a visual, or they would give you direct to Secto with the assumption that you're going to fly that approach at some point. ATC's favorite would be just to get you to sort of fly sort of a left downwind, left base, just like, hey, do you see the field? Great, you're clear to visual. That's it, you're on your own. And then you can use this approach as kind of the backup for the visual, because once you're on a visual, you can do pretty much whatever you want, subject to any restrictions ATC has issued. So, if you have this up, it's very helpful, and this is something that is really encouraged of pilots, especially airline pilots, is make sure you have an approach up, even if you're planning a visual, just to make sure you're lined up with the correct runway at the correct airport. There has been more than one case of people landing at the wrong airport. They see an airport, oh, I got it in sight, visual, okay, down, land, realize they're at the wrong airport. Or lining up with the wrong runway. Ask the Air Canada pilots in San Francisco about that. So even when you're doing a visual approach, it's a really useful situational awareness tool to have some kind of an underlying approach programmed in so that you know that you're lined up with what you think you're lined up with. Just as a backup. You don't have to follow it slavishly, but just to sort of as a guide to make sure you're lined up with what you think you're lined up with. Alright, I really should start setting up for the arrival because our top of descent point is going to be, it's about 100 miles away, but it's not going to take us very long to get there in this airplane. She's a nice fast bird, so even though I pulled out of the D10, it's still running pretty much at D10 power, so I'm just going to pull it back just ever so slightly more. It's a lot more work when you don't have auto throttle. Okay, let's see here. So let's start getting ourselves set up here. So performance-wise, really, there's not a whole lot to set up. We can find our VREF. I also did print, if I can find them, tables. Aerosoft published some tables, so I printed them, which is kind of nice. So to have, all you need to know is your landing weight. So let's see here. Our ZFW is 55.6, and our fuel right now is 73.80. And normally you go to the progress page, you can see your fuel when you land. I don't trust this value very much right now. I still don't think it's very accurately calculated. But if it was 7,000 plus 50 plus 55, it gives you roughly 62, and then always round up if you're not sure. If you're halfway between, just round up because the higher numbers will just be safer. You'll be a little tiny bit faster, but you'll be safer. You won't cut into the safety margin. Going too slow will cut you into the safety margin. So if I can find my 62,000 numbers here, I'm going the wrong way through my booklet here. There it is, 62,000 pound numbers. So you can look them up. You can find your VREF for various flaps. Pretty much always a flap 45 landing in this airplane. So our VREF today is going to be 129, and our minimum maneuvering speeds are also there, and it's kind of nice to have this, so I often will just kind of clip this somewhere or leave it somewhere around so that I have it handy to see the different speeds, because you want to know what the minimum speed you can fly at each flap setting is. And the newer airplanes will have like a green dot, or they'll have a little F on there. This is a slightly older avionics set, the CRJ, so unfortunately it doesn't have that automatic in there. That automatic flap speed reference in there. So we've got our ref speed set. We got to pull up our approach and program everything in. So we had said, so yeah, so let's just recheck those ones one more time. I know you post them in there. I'm just pulling them up here so I have them because they already scrolled out of my chat window. Yeah, 170, 18, gust 24. I mean, if we wanted to save time, we could probably come in on the other runway there as well. What's the other runway? It's like 21. Yeah, it's a little bit longer as well. 15 will be a shorter taxi in. You know what? Let's do 15 because it'll be a little bit of a shorter taxi in because then we'll be right here as opposed to 21. We'll be a little bit farther away. So, yeah, we'll plan that. Yeah, let's plan on that. So, yeah, we'll stick to that RNAV runway 15 plan. So I'll pin this one. There is no star, as you said. Taxi charts, pin those. And the terminal's over here, so yeah, so we have to get off mic there. Okay. Looks like a busy little airport anyways. Lots of GA operations. There's an Air National Guard operation down here and a passenger terminal. So it looks like a busy little airport there in the middle of Iowa. Okay, so let's go ahead. So we don't need a localizer or frequency or inbound course or anything. We just need some minimums. The most we can do in the CRJ, I believe, is the LNAV, VNAV. I don't believe, right, because we don't have VNAV guidance, so we can't do the LPV, so it has to be LNAV, VNAV. So 1906 is our minimums here. Another one that's a little bit annoying because you can't even press and hold because press and hold does something different on this, so you have to wind it all the way up to 1910. If you go to Denver, this is going to be really annoying. Good thing we're not going to Denver. It'll take 5 minutes just to wind the stupid thing up. And in the real world, it wouldn't be so bad because you could turn a little faster and it would go faster, but you're kind of limited by the scroll wheel adaptation here. Come on. We're getting there. On 1910. Nope. Come on. There it is. Okay, so we got our MDA set, and that's basically it. We got the legs in there, so actually what we could do, what I said is I had to just evaluate secto. So let's go ahead and do that. And it's going to have to recalculate our top of descent point at some point here. But shortly after SMID, I think we'll go direct secto. So right now we have FSD and then we got nothing. It's supposed to cross FSD at flight level 380. That's useless. And this is why we're going to go direct to secto because that'll set us up with a more realistic descent point as well. Ground speed, good question. Ground speed is 412. We got a little bit of a headwind today, 34 knots, not a whole lot. Grounding 412. Am I catching up to you? I haven't been watching, honestly, on VATSIM here. Yeah, you've still got a bit of a lead on me anyways. Maybe I'm catching up to you. You're doing 429. No, actually, you're doing faster than me. The thing about the RJs, too, is that they're usually not particularly fast airplanes. It's also because we're up at 380, too, so we're doing the company a solid by saving lots of gas, but we're not getting there particularly fast. Because we're doing basically, we're at Mach 7.7 right now. Actually, we should be at Mach 7.8. That's where we should be. We're at Mach 7.7 right now. We're doing 412 ground. So if you're doing anything similar, you're probably going about 10 to 15 knots, 20 knots faster. Just going to bump up that power ever so slightly. Not into the detent. Just under the detent, please. Thank you. All right. So yeah, so we got that all set up. So let's go ahead and do a quick little approach briefing here. So we have no arrival today, so we're just going to transition via direct to secto at some point for the RNAV to runway 15 in Sioux Falls, South Dakota. Let's see, it's a WAS approach. We don't have WAS on this aircraft. Final approach course, inbound's going to be 150, and I was reading this up. Apparently there's a 4-degree tolerance allowed on these headings here, so let's go ahead and just check these. So 151, you're allowed up to 4 degrees depending on the magnetic variation database different FMSs have installed. You're allowed to have up to a 4-degree variation between the headings indicated in your FMS and what's indicated on a chart. So we cross SIDAM, which is the final approach fix, at 2900, and the LPV, we're not going to use the LPV, we're going to use LNAV VNAV, which is 1906, so we got 1910. So let's just check that CDAM there is 2900. Yes, it is. Okay, good. And touchdown zone at 1429, 1430, and we do have, if I look over here somewhere, there it is, 1440 set for the field elevation. For the pressurization is good. Minimum sector altitude for 25 miles all around the threshold of runway 15 is 4,500 feet. Missed approach is climb to 3,800, direct Jufy? How do you say that? Goofy, maybe? I don't know. Climb direct, climb 3,800 feet direct to that fix and hold. We don't have that. I'll look at that in a second. Let's look at the notes here. So, uncompensated barrel VNAV systems. LNAV VNAV not authorized below -21. Not the case today. DDI RNP 0.3 not authorized. Cold temperature correction required below -31. Okay, so not the problem today. Pilot control lighting at 18.3. There is a tower, but I guess it's not open all the time. So if it was night, we could use that. Procedure not authorized for arrivals at Secto on Victor 148. Northeastbound. We're not going to be northeastbound, so that's fine. And glide path angle 3 degrees. Rails, PAPIs, 1 and 5/8 mile is the required visibility. In actual reality, we don't need the. That shouldn't be a concern today because it's a beautiful VFR day. After landing on runway 15, we'll take a convenient left turn off the runway. Hopefully, we'll make Mike and taxi over to the terminal, which is right here at Mike. If we make Mike, it's perfect. It's a really super short taxi in, and that's it. Yeah. So terrain, not a huge issue around Sioux Falls. 4,500 is the MSA. Weather is a beautiful day. Just a bit of a gusty wind, but it's more or less down the runway, so it shouldn't be too much of an issue. And the other thing, of course, is the NOTAMs. Should be shorter than Chicago. Lima 2, Lima, Kilo, West Cargo ramp, terminal ramp, work in progress. Southeast 400 feet closed. Taxiway, runway 3, runway 21, Charlie, Kilo. None of those seem to be the taxiways we're using right now. All surface work in progress inspections. Runway 927 closed to PLA. There was a 927. Where's there a 927? I didn't see any. Oh, there is. A little tiny one there. I didn't even notice it. It was so small. 0321 closed to PLA. I don't even know what PLA means. I have to figure that out. So 0321, that doesn't affect 0321 closed. Doesn't affect us. Good thing we're taking 15 though. Good thing. Approach procedures. Runway 15. MDA. ASR runway 25. That's not us. We're doing the RNAV. ILS. Local runway 21. Okay, so none of that affects RNAV runway 15. LNAV, VNAV, DA 1909, which is pretty much what we got. I think it's 1903, but it's still below 1910. All cats, cats visibility, all cats 1 and 3/8. So that does not look like that changed. So there's temporary cranes we got to be careful of. 0321's not available, so it's a good thing we're landing on 15. How convenient that that's what we're doing. Alright, so we are still 150 miles away from our destination. However, given that it's pretty quiet out here, normally I would do this request with ATC. Hey, can we go direct to, let's see here. Can we go direct to Secto for set up for the RNAV runway 15? And he'd be like, okay, sure, do it. So let's do it. Alright, so now we're direct Secto. A little bit of a right turn, about 2 degrees to the right, but what that also sets us up for nicely then is our top of descent. So instead of going to FSD and going out to Secto and taking more time, it gives us a much more accurate top of descent point there. So there we go. Let's zoom in a little bit now so we can start to see it scrolling into view. And we'll see if we can manage this airplane during the descent. So this airplane's a handful during the descent, so if you got anything to say it now. 428, so descent, bomb threat explosive area. It's something you want to be aware of. If there's blasting or any kind of activity like that going on around the airport, you want to be aware of that. So yeah, it's not something you see on a lot of different airports, but it's something you need to be aware of. No ATC at all today, huh? Just going to be that kind of a day for us, I guess. All right. Feels weird knowing we're on camera now. Feels a little bit weird. Anything interesting in the news this week? Let's see. So obviously, like I said at the beginning of the stream, Aerosoft updated their CRJ here, and let's see if I can pull it up here. But I'm not sure if it's going to work or not because I have the new version now. But it might not. Yeah. It's fine. Checking for updates. Yada yada yada. So it does have the whole list here. So this is the list right here of the updates. This is 1.01, so this was a few of the original fixes. But then update to... Is this really right? Yeah, I think we're on 1.04 now. 1.04, single axis throttle controls, sim connect release, but things like fix the route zigzag, fix bearing pointers, fix missing SID on route transitions, improve ground and flight spoilers, new throttle control mechanics via sim connect, improve flight spoiler to meet real world descent rates, overall stability in flight, improve to feel less wind and turbulence effects, all flap stages matching operating handbook reference data based on the flap model. So tons of stuff here. Adapted glide slope hold to custom glide slope, added custom glide path calculations, so hopefully things are a little bit better. ETA calculations on the MFD data plan page, limited range, lots and lots of stuff. This is a huge update. It basically required a complete and total reinstallation, so you had to download a new version of the CRJ and from your vendor and reinstall it because it was such a big update. It pushed so much stuff out there, but they've been working on it for a while. So this one thing I'm happy with is that Aerosoft is supporting their products. It's one thing they are well known for is supporting their products. So appreciate that, Aerosoft. Thank you for supporting the product. It really makes it. It just gives us more faith in your company, and not that I don't have faith in Aerosoft as a company, but it gives us more faith when you support the product that what the money we pay for the product is worthwhile because there will be support for problems. I'm not asking for new features all the time, but fixing and tweaking any additional problems that come up. And flight simulation is a hugely complicated system, so it's amazing how these guys sometimes manage to do what they do and manage to create these fairly realistic representations of these aircraft. That work on so many different systems with so many different add-ons. There's a lot of stuff that kind of comes together to make these work, and it really is quite impressive to watch these things work. The other thing, of course, was that they did Microsoft did push the latest update to their simulator just this last week. I don't even remember everything that was in it. I think there was a blog post that had a list of stuff, and I kind of read through it. And nothing hugely stood out. A whole bunch of sort of stuff. Like I said, there was stuff that interested me, but I can't even find it here now. I have to scroll back so far through my news feed. But yeah, I've been a little bit out of it just because I've been going to work this week, which is really kind of taken up a lot of my time. It's not a bad thing, but it's just taken up a lot of my time. So I really have been kind of out of it, but. I will say, like, it didn't seem to break anything, this update, which is kind of nice. Let's see here. Update 4, change logs, so new AirAct cycle, fix some live air traffic using the wrong model, live traffic stability has been increased, things like that. It seems like the traffic's been getting better in the sim. Reduce weather data bandwidth, I don't really care too much, I got unlimited bandwidth. But it's kind of nice to know. Improved precision visual icing. So that's one thing I did notice is when you turned on the anti-icing systems, a lot of airplanes, the airplane would accelerate again, like the weight was gone. The ice would still be on your wings all the time. So that apparently has been fixed. When you blow the boots and the icing disappears off your airplane, it disappears off the display model as well. Tweak the pitot tube icing models. Changed structural icing accumulation for different rates, flap stall wing fuselage updates, more cleanup of the flap system, SimConnect injected traffic should now be displayed on TCAS. Yeah, so that was something that's new. Yeah, so the new update, TCAS system should now be compatible with SimConnect injected traffic, so the traffic that vPilot or your other various add-ons send to the sim for you should be on your TCAS now. Did some tweaks to the turboprops, especially like reverse thrust and things like that. Did some adjustments to the max torque in the in the King Air and the TBM, all sorts of stuff. It was a wide variety of updates, which is kind of good. Again, it's something that it's being improved. It's not the best. It's not the best, but it's getting better. The sim's getting better little by little. So, yeah, I'd love to test the TCAS, but I'm too far away. Yeah, sorry. Unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to catch you in the CRJ. It's a good little bird, but it's not the fastest thing, and especially because they do like to cruise them at the higher altitudes for efficiency's sake. So, although we are going to start down here in about 40 miles, so it's not too far till we start down. Anything else interesting in the news this week? Lots of airports. For those of you, my Canadian pilot friends, there's a sale at Aerosoft right now, and the Moncton Airport at Aerosoft is on sale among different things. So, if you want to go fly the east coast of Canada, there was, yes. So Phil sent this to me, and he mentioned this earlier. There's a new freeware pushback tool available on FlightSim.to for Microsoft Flight Simulator. I think it's probably worth checking out. Like I said, I demonstrated the FS2 Crew Pushback Express. I'm beginning to like it more and more. It's not that I didn't like it in the beginning, I just didn't see the use for it because I wasn't flying the airliners. I was flying GA airplanes that didn't need pushback, so it was kind of pointless in the beginning. But I will say this, like with this airplane, Pushback Express has suddenly taken on a big, useful role for me, and especially also with the voice commands. It's kind of really nice to have the voice commands. I just have a push to talk I have to hold, and I do these voice commands, and basically the whole process is automated, and then I control the pushback using the rudder pedals and the pitch axis, but I don't have to click buttons outside the sim, which is really kind of nice. It's integrated into the sim, and that's one of the things I like about FS2 Crew stuff is you don't leave the sim, and voice commands. So much of what happens in the aviation industry is voice-based, is we talk to each other and we ask other people to do things for us. And we don't click a button, we don't walk up to the person and click a button on them, we just simply talk to them and say, hey, can you remove the ground power? Hey, we're ready for pushback. All that sort of stuff. Those vocal triggers, that really adds a huge amount. I was a little skeptical about FS2 Crew in the very beginning. I'll admit it. I did not think FS2 Crew was going to be something I was going to be interested in. I thought, oh, it's kind of gimmicky. I've said that about a lot of sim add-ons, but it really does add to the immersion. I thought GSX was going to be gimmicky, but it really adds to the immersion. I think probably the number one thing I miss about GSX at this point, really, but there's two things I miss. I kind of miss the sound of boarding and deboarding. But the thing I really miss, besides the pushback, and I've got FS2 Crew, is the marshaller. When you get to your destination and marshalling you in and guiding you in, because that's how you do it in the real world. A marshaller points at you and he waves his arms around and gets you to stop at the exact right point, just by you looking at them and translating what they're doing into a stop point. And that's something that's missing in Microsoft Flight Simulator. Yes, they have a few marshallers scattered around the airport, but they're never at the gate you want. GSX lets you pick the gate you want and puts a marshaller there, so I miss that. Okay, so I see we're coming very close to our top of descent point here, so we're going to set a lower altitude here. We'll just start with 10,000 feet. Oh, that was way more than I wanted, but that's okay. Alright, so we got 10,000 feet there, and we're just coming up to our top of descent point here. Just a couple moments here. We're going to need about 2,100 feet down. We're going to basically cross secto at 10,000, so that's going to work out pretty well. Alright, but we are doing well here. A little bit of a cloud layer, high overcast cloud layer building in from the west now as we head west, but yeah, if I had to pick the number one thing that I kind of miss right now from the Microsoft, from the P3D world, I think it's FS2 Crew. And they have commented that it is in the works, that the FS2 Crew is working on the CRJ for FS2 Crew, like this Microsoft Flight Simulator CRJ for FS2 Crew. So that I think is probably the biggest thing I miss, certainly for this stream, because this stream really to me is about, pardon me, it's about realism, it's about immersion, it's about flying a real pilot career, and that's what I'm trying to do here as much as possible. Here's that top of descent point, so let's go ahead and get this going down here. And yeah, I just feel like without talking to somebody, it just doesn't feel real. And it's not that it doesn't feel real. I mean, it's pretty good, but looking outside, it feels real. But you know what I mean? Like, it lacks that immersion because I'm not talking to my FO anymore. So that's the thing I probably miss the most. If I had to pick the one thing I really want to see next come to Microsoft Flight Simulator. I really want to see FS2 Crew do their thing in Microsoft Flight Simulator for these airplanes, and I think they will. And I've read that they're working on it anyways, and I believe them. I just think it's one thing to sort of once they had built their first product in the FSX P3D world, and then to move it to another airplane. Yes, you have to write a new script, and you have to work out the SDK with that airplane, but a lot of the interfacing with the sim itself is kind of the same from one airplane to the other. This is a new sim. Brand new sim with different interfaces, different SDK. So I imagine it's going to be a bit of a steep learning curve for them in the beginning, trying to figure out how to write this next version of FS2 Crew. And once they do that, once this will be the first one, everything else will be a little bit easier beyond that, because it'll be following the same kind of pattern. So that's what I like to believe, anyways. But yeah, if I had to pick the one thing I can't do without, I can do without the GSX. There's some stuff available that kind of works like GSX. GSX was great for being a total package, though, of having the sounds of passengers boarding and deboarding, and that really kind of adds to it. And having the ability to call the fuel truck and the baggage truck and all that stuff, that really kind of that helped. But the two places where GSX really shone was the pushback and the marshalling in. Those are the two things that are really at this point missing in Microsoft Flight Simulator. Well, not the pushback so much, but the marshalling anyways. I mean, we have, like I said, we have Pushback Express, and I think it's a good tool now. I didn't see much use for it at first, not flying airliners, but now that I'm flying this thing, totally a useful tool. Alright, we're already starting down. I'm just looking at the time here. It's already getting quite late. I don't think we're going to do the return leg today, guys. I'm sorry. It's just a little bit too long. It's gonna, and it would end up taking. I've already been streaming now for almost 2 hours, and it would take another hour and a half to get back by the time you file the flight plan and done the turn and everything else. So I don't think we're gonna do it today. But when we do get to some shorter legs, we'll definitely do some multi-leg days. We definitely will do some multi-leg days. But I'm kind of, like I said, it's been a little bit of a hectic week for me. I've had a lot of stuff going on. So yeah, we'll cut it after this leg today. And maybe next week we'll do 2 legs. I don't know. I'll see what the legs are like, and I'll see how my time is looking. See, there's still something going on with this fuel calculation. I don't know. It's not accurate. Now it seems to have an accurate. But before it was saying like 6,800 pounds over FSD when we only had like 7,200 pounds of the tank. So there's something about it's not quite realistic yet. That needs to be worked on. Some of these FMC calculations need to be worked on. The times seem to be accurate, but like the times down here at the bottom, and then like this, like FSD 3695, Omaha 3700. Like these are the same. There's 0 time from FSD to Omaha. That's not correct. The alternate is 50 or 100 miles away. That's obviously going to take some time. It's going to take some fuel. So there's some issues there. It's not some of these calculations are not perfect yet, but I will say like it flies the route pretty well at this point. I haven't seen too many. The only problem with the route was when I was when I was trying to intercept it and engage in the LNAV, and it wasn't engaging properly because I wasn't in FMS mode. So that's my fault. For the most part, this is working pretty well now. Seems like the course reversal is already drawn on there at CPOL. I hope it doesn't plan on flying a course reversal, but it does have CPOL in here twice. So I wonder if I can. Yes. So after CPOL, direct to CDAM. I'm going to do that. We're going to take out that course reversal there, that hold. We don't need that hold. And away we go, down, down, down. But she's just a beautiful airplane to look at, too. I wonder how their 900 and 1,000 add-ons coming on. I think that might be a worthwhile add-on, too. Just a bigger, longer airplane, really. Same basic flight deck and everything, though. Enjoying the external views, because it is really like a well done model externally too, like right down to the individual static wicks and everything. Shouldn't spend too long out of the flight deck in descent because this airplane accelerates on you. Can't spend too long outside of the flight deck, that's for sure. Definitely fun, though. I like this airplane. It's a fun little airplane. As I become more comfortable with it, it's a lot of workload. The one place I find it's a lot of workload is right at the takeoff. The initial acceleration, flap retraction established on course right after takeoff, it's a very busy period. That's when you really, more than any other time in this airplane, you need two hands working in the flight deck. Alright, looks like we've transitioned to indicated speed, so let's try to keep 290. And let's get that weather up there again. 180.13 gusting 25. And broken 2500. I don't see a broken layer out there, but okay. 3022, which I think was the same as when we left Chicago pretty much. So I'm going to set that on the standby right now so I don't forget it. I've got to fix that zooming. Because I really almost don't need the zooming because I have like track IR, and track IR lets me move in and out whenever I want. So I really don't need the zooming. I find the zooming more frustrating than anything. Just sneaking underneath this cloud layer here. Perfect. Love it. Yeah, I'll show you the schedule too for the rest of the month when we get on the ground. There's a lot of the legs are about a similar length. We're dealing with mostly like a lot of hour to hour and a half legs. The one that I know we'll be able to do in one day, we got a Milwaukee turn from Chicago to Milwaukee. That's going to be a fast one. Probably more time taxiing than in the air. So I'm going to try and time that one if I can to have some ATC, because that would be great. Such a short little fast little leg, nice to have some ATC to sort of give us some guidance along the way. And that's one thing that I am going to probably do a little bit now going forward, and I hope it doesn't impact too many of you guys, especially you, Lucas. I know you really like flying with me. I am probably going to try to vary the schedule a little bit and try to sort of pick a little bit later times in the day when we're more likely to get ATC. So we may start doing some evening flying in the not too distant future. Again, the goal is really just to get ATC. I find especially the US is really very much hit or miss during the day. Canada seems to have gotten a little bit better at having a lot of FIRs staffed up at various points throughout the day. Like in the time we've been flying, the two controllers I've seen online so far were Edmonton Center and Winnipeg Center. So I miss flying in Canada because I think they have a little bit better sort of daytime coverage, people covering at random times throughout the day. If I want ATC, don't tell Travis when I'm flying. Does it count if I just ban him from my Discord and then he doesn't know? Yeah. I think I'm my own worst enemy when it comes to ATC. I pick times of day that are sort of convenient for my schedule, but are not necessarily convenient for ATC. So I think that's part of my problem. Like the Saturday morning is really kind of a nice time for me. It kind of works. I kind of have some free time, relatively speaking, but it's not good for ATC for the most part. ATC is very hit or miss during the day on a Saturday, so that's why I'm going to sort of try to start aiming a little bit later for the streams, but I'll try to keep them on Saturdays. We'll see how it works out, but I may try and do them a little bit later on a Saturday in the future. Looks like we're just starting to fall a little bit behind the pass. We'll just increase the descent rate ever so slightly here, just another 200 feet per minute. Watching to try and keep that star in the middle there. And there we go. We're coming up to Secto pretty quick here. I never did. You know what I never did? I have a Discord. Yes, Phil, I have a Discord. It really, I don't talk much in it other than to post my schedules. It's mostly for posting streaming schedules. It's a social media device more than anything. I don't really use it for talking about things. And don't expect any fast response to anything you ever post on my Discord, because I'm not a big Discord user. I don't have it on my phone. I only have it on the computer when I sit down in front of the computer and check into it. So it's good for kind of posting stuff ahead of time about my stream schedules. That's what it's for. Descent checklist. Landing elevation. Set. Fuel. Checked. And what is our min div today? I don't even know what our min div is. I never know because it doesn't force me to put it in the computer, so I never look. I really should be looking here. Min div today... For Omaha, we're going to need about 31, 32 to get there, and we're about 5,800. We're probably going to have about 4,500 when we get to Sioux Falls, so that's good. I'll do the altimeter in a second there. TCAS is it's still set to below, so that's fine. Radar is off. CAS check, just the no smoking. Landing data, we've checked it. We really don't have anything to set because we don't have any bugs for landing. And approach briefing is complete. So the landing checklist is complete. Alright, so 3022 on the meter. Oh, you stupid. Bloody... I hate you. I hate you. I hate you sometimes. I'm going to go... That's going to be the first thing I do after I shut off the camera, is I'm going to go and look at that post and try and figure out how to stop that zooming from happening. Phil, I just can't tell you anything. You just blow it all way out of proportion, man. Squibbly, you must be almost down by now. I would think you're pretty far ahead of me. I'm just going to go check my VATS by again on my other. Wow, I'm really catching up to you in the descent. Hold on. I don't see you on TCAS yet, though. But I'm catching up to you, I think. I may have to slow down early here. I really also picked up a lot of speed in the descent, so we're going to slow down a little bit early here. And we're also going to go down to 5,000, which cleared our minimum sector altitude here, so... There we go, 5,000. Controls, mouse, cockpit camera, zoom... Okay, so it's under controls mouse, well that makes sense. I just didn't really even think about it, but that makes sense. Alright. We're starting to decelerate a little bit here, because we're going to hit 10,000 feet here as well soon. We're falling a little bit behind on the pass, so we might actually need some speed brakes here shortly. The airport should be off over there somewhere. Is that even it right there? That might be... that could be it right there. We're just swinging around. Never been here before, so it's spot the airport day. Alright. We're starting to slow for 250 anyways, and I might even start to slow to 230 because we need to just make sure we stay behind our traffic here. So we'll just let the speed just continue to bleed off here till we get to about 230. I never noticed this too either until the other day. I'd clicked on this. If you want to auto-hide your yoke in this airplane, click on the placard. Click on the airspeed limits placard here. It hides your yoke. Sioux Falls traffic, SkyWest 364 is 15 miles northeast of the field, setting up for the RNAV runway 15. So now that we're on this leg, charts. The minimum altitude on this leg is 3,800, so we'll say 4,000. I think we're going to need a little bit of speed brake because I think we're going too fast and we're not losing altitude fast enough here. Here comes 10,000, so let's go ahead and get the lights on and seatbelts back on. And we got, now we're slowing down a little bit. I might even slow down to 210 already because I feel like we're blasting in here really super fast at this point. And we need to cross, we need to cross this at 3,000 or above. We need to cross SIDAM at 2,900, so we really need to start losing a little bit of altitude here. The VNAV seems to think we're going to be okay, but I don't know if I trust it right now. Still 9,000 feet here, and we're only about 7 miles from turning final. Maybe I'm overestimating, but I'd rather be a little low than a little high. Yeah, I think that is Sioux Falls, isn't it? Yeah, that is Sioux Falls. It was the airport. Okay, cool. Airport's in sight. I don't see you on my TCAS yet. Oh. Seriously? I'm like right on top of you. Oh, jeez. Okay, I'll take a little vector out then because I was number 2, so... We'll just take a little vector off and lose some speed here. Yeah, don't worry. I'm going to just turn out and just sort of fly a little bit of an extra downwind to come in behind you because, yeah. I know the Airbus likes to go slow in the descent. This airplane just likes to keep on going fast. Good thing I finally spotted you on the TCAS there. I don't know where you are, but you're apparently pretty close to right below me here. I'm sort of a little bit disoriented, so anyways. Was that you? No, that wasn't you. No, that was just the, I can't tell. Everything's sort of on top of each other. Yeah, that's you there. You're actually above me. I was actually below you, so anyways. I'm going out. And just 1 second, because now my phone is running out of charge here while I'm monitoring my stream chat on it, so just plug that in as well. Alright. And there's 4,000. We should be going a little faster than this.
Traffic Delta 222 on a 14-mile final.
Get the flaps 1 out there.
1-8, I believe it was. Delta
1-5, but anyways, no big deal. And I go out another couple of miles here. Give you some time to get turned around. And this is what you got to do when you get to these airports too. You just got to work with the other people who are around. All right, so I believe our minimum flap speed actually is 173. So we'll go out for about another 2 miles here, and then we'll turn back inbound towards the fix there. Sometimes that's just what happens. Okay, we did do the descent check. We got flaps 1 out, so we can even go down to speed-wise. Flaps 1, we can go down to 163. Alright, that's probably far enough to give you a little bit of a lead. I went out about 5 miles, almost 10 miles actually from the fix, so let's go back. And what we'll do is we'll take CPOL, if I can do it, and just put that back in there again. And then put ourselves back in LNAV. Why are we losing altitude? Why is it losing altitude? Why are you going down, you stupid airplane? I don't understand why it started descending there. It said altitude was captured, and for some reason, all we've got... Oh. Would help if I retracted the speed brakes. Jesus Christ. Some days.
traffic Delta 222 on a 4-mile final runway 15. Traffic Delta.
And now it's going through 4,000. I don't even know what it's doing here. It's got super power, and it doesn't want to pitch down. I'm just going to watch it. I should be taking control. I just want to see if it's going to capture itself again, because it's such a busy airplane. I hate to take the autopilot off too early. Alright, so it seems like it wants to go down. But for some reason, it just does not want to do it for some reason. So we're going to take the autopilot off, and we're going to have to do this ourselves, because it just doesn't seem to want to do it. Okay, fine. Because it was showing the flight director full down, but the autopilot was not doing it. That's for sure. Alright, let's see if we can recover back to 4,000 here. Sioux Falls traffic, SkyWest 364 is joining a 15-mile final runway 15. I think I gave you way more space than you needed, but I just sort of, wasn't sure how much space you really needed, so I just sort of overestimated on that. Okay. So we'll see if we can level this thing. The flight director seems to be working correctly, but the autopilot did not seem to want to follow the flight director for whatever reason. I don't know why. So there are still glitches in this aircraft. It's not perfect. Now we got to sort of pitch to follow that. Sorry, it's being a little bit abrupt here. I think what I'm going to do is that as well, because I find that it's just so small kind of on the screen by itself, and it kind of helps if I have it popped out. So there we go. So popped out, it's a little bit easier to kind of monitor when it's a little bit bigger. A little bit more of my field of view. Okay, let's go flaps 8. You can see the airport as well, so that helps. I know we're on the right track. It's just a matter of just getting established back on final again. What was that wind again? It was 13 gust 25. So we're going to have to fly this puppy on. I never turned the twitch bot on. It's too late now. I'm too busy hand flying. I forgot to turn the twitch bot on for the landing rate predictions. Okay, so we're going to start down on final here. We're going to follow that little glide slope.
False traffic, Delta 222. We're clear runway 15 on hotel, taxiing to gate 6. False traffic, Delta 222.
Sioux Falls traffic, SkyWest 364 is joining 10 mile final 15. Alright, so now we're gaining altitude again here. The trouble is the VNAV in this airplane kind of really sucks. So I'm really kind of just trying to do it a little bit by looking at the star in the corner, the VNAV guidance in the corner, and also just looking out the window here as well. Alright, let's go ahead, gear down. While we're at it, we'll arm the thrust reversers. Focus, focus. Okay, now we're falling a little bit below the slope here. And what happens if I arm the stupid VNAV system in this airplane? And there it is. Will it follow path nicely? Will it guide me down the path nicely? It should. I don't know if I always believe it. Looks like it's working out pretty well so far. Let's go flaps 20. Flaps 30. It's nice to have a flap lever. That's kind of nice. It's a bit more of a natural position. Let's go flaps 45. And let's see here. Oh, we're losing speed really fast there. We're going to need probably about 145 for a ref today. And I just got to adjust this down there. You know what we could do? We could just press this button here. Set VREF. It's not quite right, but it's close. It's actually 129, so we should be about 145. Alright, we should have done the landing checklist already, but because I'm hand flying, I'm obviously not focusing enough here. Before landing, flight attendants advise passenger signs are on. Be nice to have an FO to do this. Thrust reversers are armed, lights and strobes are set, and flaps. No, I'm looking at the wrong ones here. Thrust reversers are armed, landing gears down, and flaps 35. Yeah, we got all that indicated. And then see, it got really off the path here while I was distracted by doing the bloody checklist. So, and another thing we can do is turn on the taxi light because we're clear to land. I find this airplane really a little bit. Flat 45, you really have to be ready for it. Like, we are way below the ref speed now because I was focused on doing the checklist for even a couple seconds there. So I need a huge amount of power just to sort of get back on that. Especially with gusty winds, you want to have some tolerance above the ref speed, not below it.
500.
You don't want to be flying at ref speed on a gusty day, because they want the gust to still keep you above the ref.
400.
It's a pretty sloppy approach. I gotta get more practice in this airplane.
300.
Sync rate. Sync rate.
200.
Sync rate.
Disregard runway in sight.
100. 50. 40. 30. 20. 10.
Come on, down you go. Just gonna miss Mike here by the looks of it. We're not gonna. If we really kind of hammer it, we might just make Mike here. Oh, how convenient. Whoa, that was a sloppy approach, I gotta say. I'm not proud of that approach. It got us here in the end, but yeah, especially doing that, really have to have that checklist done before you reach 1,000 feet, because you gotta be able to focus. I need an FO. I need an FO to do these things. This plane's a real handful sometimes. Sioux Falls traffic. SkyWest 364 is clear of all runways taxiing to the terminal. Alright, so after landing flow, let's see if I can remember it here. Let's see here. I haven't done it for a little while now. I did it once last week, and that's all I've done. So, flaps up. First, just I'm going to stop to do it because it's just too much going on right now. Okay, after landing checklist APU, and we should actually get that turning on. APU will be turning on. Transponders can stay on for now. Flaps are up. Lights and strobes and probes off as well. Oops, not that one. Those are the probes. And we can hit start there. And then, good. And then I have no idea what gate to go to, so. Is that you right there at the end of the terminal? Let's see here. Let me just pull up my ground chart here at... This is the terminal anyways. It's just a question of where do we park and does it really matter? Does it even have like a gate diagram? It does here. So I don't even know where SkyWest would normally go. I imagine probably just about anywhere. It's you at number 7. Which one's number 7? Is it right here at the end here? Yeah, it's you at number 7. Alright, so we'll go down here, number 5. Yeah, I'm not impressed with that landing. I could have and should have done better. Just a question of... this is an airplane that really needs 2 people. And without 2 people, it's really not that good of a... It's really kind of a... It's not that it's not a good airplane, it's just it's a challenge to fly. Alright. Did this thing finish starting? It did. Good. Taxi light off. Yeah, let's go ahead and swing in there. Yeah, so wouldn't it be nice to have a marshaller? Because that's one thing that I miss about GSX, and I think it's really good. See, and I don't mind doing RNAV approaches, but this airplane is not... I find it's not very good for RNAV approaches. The vertical guidance is not very good, especially if the autopilot's not flying it properly. That doesn't help. For some reason there, as we were turning back inbound, the altitude started fluctuating like crazy. Couldn't seem to keep... Even though the flight director was commanding it to pitch down, it wouldn't pitch down, so I don't know what was going on with it. We're going to have to do this and switch to an external view just to sort of guide ourselves in there. There we go. Parking brake. Alright, so the APU is available. We can shut down engine number 2. And then we turn off the fuel pumps as well. And what that does is it lets us check the low pressure on the other fuel pump. That seems to work okay, so we go ahead and pull that back. Pull up our electrical. The APU should be holding the whole load now. And as we shut down the airplane, we can, of course, turn off the beacon, turn off the seat belts, and open the door. Set the chocks, and use my, if I can, really, right this moment, the batteries in my mouse just failed. OMG. Really. Just at that moment. You son of a gun. Let's see if I can get it to just do it for another second here. Sometimes if you pop them out for a second, it'll find there's enough spare charge. Sweet Jesus. Literally failed right then and there. And this mouse is so old. Let's see if we can call this jet bridge over. Really? It doesn't want to move? It's not going to move for us? Oh. Well, that's rather pathetic. Well, I guess we'll have to disembark people the old-fashioned way. Anyways, we got everything done there, so let's do a quick shutdown checklist. That's not my checklist, that's my checklist. Shutdown checklist. So parking brake is on, seatbelts are off, and thrust levers are cut off. Anti-ice is all off. Fuel pumps are off. Beacon is off. Nose wheel steering switch, that's the one I forgot. And the transponder as well can go off. And that's it. So we are here. Welcome to Sioux Falls. For some reason, can't get that jet bridge to go. Don't know why. A little annoying. But that's okay because we have air stairs anyway, so everyone can just get out and just walk across the ramp to the gate there. But welcome to Sioux Falls, South Dakota. And thank you guys so much for watching this first stream in the CRJ here. So there we go. That leg is done. Next we just go right back to Chicago, and then we do this next leg here, which is over to Charlottesville in, I believe it's in West Virginia. Yeah, now this is not going to work anymore. I think if I pop my batteries out, this is an old mouse. This mouse is probably 15, 20 years old. I could really use a new mouse, but it chews through batteries quite quickly. But there we go. So we got quite a few more legs still to do, obviously, in this season since we just started the season. But after this, we've got, as I said, Charlottesville. Then we do a Milwaukee turn. I definitely plan on doing that as one two-leg stream because it's a pretty short leg. And then we have some fun here. We go up to Ottawa and over to Wichita. So we got a kind of a mixed bag, going a whole bunch of different directions. Gonna have lots of fun. Different lengths too. Like the Milwaukee one's pretty short. The Wichita, I think it's not too long either. I think it's a little bit longer than this one. It's about an hour and a half to an hour 45, something like that. But a nice variety of different legs to do. So in the meantime, yeah, it's kind of nice to have a different job. We're still building up our experience here. We're still making a decent salary. We've got quite a bit of money in the bank account now. We'll be able to buy some investments here. That's basically the big thing now, I think, is just to make more money by buying investments in stocks, virtual currency, deposit accounts, apartments, etc. All sorts of investments here, I think, is kind of what I'm going to be next doing with my money in this job. But otherwise, yeah, I think that was a lot of fun, guys. I hope you had fun. Got myself out of the comfort zone too. I wasn't going to do this yet, and I finally decided to do it, and I sort of spent some time this week, a little bit of time this week and last week learning the camera controls a little bit. I'm still not totally comfortable with them, but I'm getting there. So if I do this, yes, I can get my drone back up, and I can actually play with the drone a little bit here. I find that the default speed is ridiculously fast though in the drone too. That's one thing. I find like it moves like really fast. Now I mean, and that might be a little bit on the slow side, but that's kind of like at least you can kind of pan around and do some nice things. The other ones are just a little bit too fast. But she is a nice airplane. I really like the CRJ. It's, like I said, it's a nice airplane. I'm really enjoying it. It's, I think it's worth the money. Anybody who's thinking about it, who's on the fence about it, I think it's worth the money in Microsoft Flight Simulator. I think it's a good airplane. There are still issues with it. I won't say it's perfect. There's definitely still issues with it, but Aerosoft's working on fixing those. So it's not like it's not like one of those airplanes that's been released and it's just stuck out there forever. Aerosoft is working on it. So give them some time, give them some faith, but I think that they've put out a pretty good airplane there. Certainly as a stopgap for the time being, because we don't have anything better in Microsoft Flight Simulator, I think it's a good airplane. I have a lot of fun with it. It has its problems. from time to time. I don't know what happened with the altitude there when we were turning final, but I tried to see if it was going to get back on its own and just wasn't going to do it. So be it. But that's it for me for today. So I hope you guys had fun. I really do. I had a lot of fun, even though it was a pretty simple flight. I'm looking forward to doing more legs in this airplane. I will try to do some 2-leg days. This week has just been, like I said, a very hectic week. Next week I might even be able to do 2 legs in a day. And the other thing is, like I said, I will try to switch up the times a little bit to try and better get some ATC going on in this VATSIM world, because the Saturday mornings are kind of convenient for me, but very little ATC online. So I'm going to try and do more later in the day in the future, just to hedge my bets of getting better ATC coverage. But that's it for me for today, guys. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you had fun. As always, stay healthy, safe out there. Keep an eye on the Discord for the schedule for the next ones. Tonight we're going to do an ATC stream during an event in Toronto, so it's going to be a pretty restricted area that I'm going to operate in, but it should be hopefully pretty busy. The only trouble is the event's quite diverse. It covers a whole ton of airports. It's covering 6 different FIRs and RTICs in the U.S. With a dozen different major airport staffed. So no one airport's going to be particularly overwhelmed, I don't think. But nevertheless, it should be fun. So come on down on the YouTube channel tonight after 01 Zulu, and otherwise I will post to my Discord when the next streams are scheduled for. So thanks for watching, guys. We'll see you guys all real soon.